2009 and was posted by Constable Ronald Campbell. Section 10 of the Massachusetts General Laws have been satisfied. For this meeting, I have appointed the following people as tellers. Marilyn Hunt, who is going to do the left side, Joe Boneski, who's going to do back center from J back, Bob Canessa, who's doing the front and the stage, and Leanne Cataldo, who is going to be doing the right side. This meeting will be operated in accordance with Massachusetts general laws, the town's general bylaws, and by precedent of prior town meeting. While the town bylaws address some of the parliamentary procedures, prior town meetings have relied upon the volume town meeting time as the standard for conduct at Lakeville town meetings. It is my intention to continue this precedent. You will note that 2 microphones have been positioned in each of the 2 aisles. I ask that if you seek recognition from the moderator, you go to one of the 2 microphones. You must be at the microphone to be recognized by the moderator. When recognized by the moderator, please state your name. If you would like to identify your address, please feel free to do so. And a little different thing from previous meetings, because of the number of people, you're going to have to make sure you have your card that indicates to me that you're a registered voter when you speak, okay? Because I don't know all of you yet. Please feel free to do so. If you have a motion, please have it prepared in writing, and after stating your motion, please present it to the moderator so that the clerk will have it as a part of the official record of the meeting. Unlike many towns, we have no standard relative to the length of time someone can speak. Generally, that has not been an issue. However, I will exercise my prerogatives to keep the meeting moving if I find that the speaker repeats the same points that he or she has raised. As has been past practice, I will allow the maker of the motion an opportunity to speak on the motion before recognizing anyone else. After the maker of the motion has had an opportunity to speak, I will seek the recommendation of the Finance Committee. In the case of zoning articles, I will seek the report of the Planning Board and receive its report of its public hearing. Then, any other registered voter may speak on the article in question. When the motion comes to a vote, I will ask that you hold up either the pink or your green card for the special town meeting issued to each registered voter when you arrived this evening and were checked in. You should have one or the other for this special. During the voting, if I can easily determine the quantum of vote, I will ask you to lower your cards. However, if there is a counted vote, I will ask that you hold up your card elevated so that the teller can see it and count the votes in your section. The use of the voting card will assure that only voters of registered eligible votes are counted. I would like to recommend that no food or drink is permitted in the auditorium except for clear water. Before we begin the special town meeting, I would like to call to your attention those residents of Lakeville who were active in town government and who have passed away since our last town meeting. Marguerite A. Mills, who was on the Development and Industrial Commission, the Board of Registrars, the Director of State Decennial Census, and the Council on Aging, has passed away. And John V. Gibberti, Commission on Disability, has also passed away. I am going to ask you to stand for a moment of silence in their memory. Please remain standing after the moment of silence and honor our country as I lead you in saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Finally, I would like to introduce the people on stage so that you know who you're facing. To my left is Janet Tracy, the town clerk, Rita Garbett, the town administrator, Kay Doyle, the town council, Derek Maxey, the selectman, Nancy Yates, selectman, Chuck Evers, selectman, and then the finance committee, Gary Mansfield, Steve Olivier, Jim Hanlon, and Mike Petruzzo, and Melissa Hopkins, and then the town accountant, Cindy McCrae. Everyone should have a copy of the town warrant. If you do not have a copy, please raise your hand. It's what you got when you came in the door. And a teller will make sure that you do. Does anyone not have one? I will now seek a motion to waive the reading of the warrant. Do I hear a motion to waive the reading of the warrant? So moved. Seconded? All in favor? All opposed? Thank you. It passes. It's probably the only voice vote we're going to take tonight. Before I begin Article 1 of the special, and this is going to hold true of the annual as well, there are several people who may be asked to speak this evening who are not Lakeville residents. Laurie Hunter, who was Assawamsett principal, Robert Iafredi, who's building commissioner, Christopher Peck, who's superintendent of streets, Mark Sorrell, who's chief of police, Louis Rodericks, who's interim superintendent of schools and business manager of schools, regional schools, David Young and Benjamin Levesque, who are of the engineering firm of Camp Dresser and McKee, and Sherry Clancy, who represents national development. They may be asked to speak, and they are not residents of the town. Does anyone object to their speaking this evening? Hearing no objection, I will interpret that as a unanimous vote in favor. Thank you very much. Article 1.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer and/or appropriate from available funds certain sums of money in order to defray unanticipated costs for fiscal year 2009 for various accounts in the general fund and park enterprise account, all as set forth on the document entitled Article 1 Special Town Meeting Transfers June 15, 2009.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Would you care to speak to this before you read all of the...
Mr. Moderator, this is just a simple housekeeping article. We have to balance the budget from 2009 before we can move on with the annual town meeting for 2010.
Thank you. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends approval.
Thank you. Are you going to read the chapter and verse now?
I can if you would like.
I would like.
Transfer appropriate from the reserve fund $48,150. Article 7, the 2009 annual town meeting, vocational out-of-district tuition, $11,770. Article 8 from the 2009 annual town meeting, special needs out-of-district transportation and tuition, $29,000. Article 9 from the 2009 annual town meeting, regional school assessment, $22,216. Selectmen wages, $2,000. Highway wages, $14,262. Highway expense, $15,335. Board of Assessors wages, $3,000. Board of Assessors expenses, $2,500. Police Department wages, $20,000. Fire Department wages, $25,000. Accountant wages, $2,870. Accountant expense, $1,921. Other general government prior year's expense, $4,000. Council on Aging wages, $5,000. Council on Aging expense, $5,000. Library wages, $1,500. Treasurer hourly wages, $2,000. Building Department wages, $1,500. Building Department expenses, $1,000. Board of Health expenses, $5,000. Visiting nurse expense, $2,500. Property and liability expense, $15,784. School K through 4, Assawamsett Elementary, Intermediate, Middle School, $60,000, for a total of $302,308. And also to transfer appropriate from the Park General Fund subsidy reduction of $15,000, for a total of $15,000 from that account. We will transfer and appropriate to snow and ice wages and expenses, $172,245. Health insurance benefits, $60,000. Legal fees, $8,000. Unemployment expense, school department, $6,796. Unemployment expense, town, $5,067. Plumbing inspector fee expense, $6,000. Wire inspector fee expense, $3,000. Animal control wages, $4,200. Other general government, secretarial pool, and emergency labor, $800. Thank you. Veterans benefit expense, $1,200. Police expense, $15,000. Fire expense, $20,000, for a total of $302,308. And also from the Park Enterprise Fund, that $15,000 will go to the general fund of snow and ice for $15,000.
Thank you. Does anyone have a question about this article? Seeing none, we move to and vote. If you are in favor of this article, please raise your card. Thank you. You may put them down. All opposed to this article, please raise your card. I see no cards. I saw one card raised. I declare that this has been passed by majority vote. Article 2.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to postpone this matter indefinitely.
Do I hear a second? Motion has been made and seconded. Do you want to explain why you're going to do that? If you wish.
That was for the 9C cuts that are covered in Article 1.
That's the 9C cuts that are covered in Article 1.
Thank you. We no longer can withdraw an article. If we wish to remove it, we have to postpone it indefinitely, which in effect kills it. All in favor of postponing this article indefinitely, please raise your cards. Thank you. You may put them down. All opposed to postponing it indefinitely, raise your cards. I see no cards raised. I declare it passed unanimously. Article 3.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer and appropriate $34,342.43 from the Special Revenue Reserve for Appropriation account to the Water Infrastructure Improvement Stabilization Fund.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Do you care to speak to that article at all?
You want to speak to it?
This is additional money that we received from a lawsuit that the town won, along with some other towns. And this was additional money that came in, so we're going to put it in the fund with the rest of the money.
Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends approval.
Does anyone from the town wish to ask a question about this article? I see no one at the microphone. I therefore will move to a vote. This requires a 2/3. I'm going to see what we can do here. All in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. You may put them down. All opposed, please raise your cards. I see no opposed vote. I declare it unanimously passed. Before I go on to Article 4, I'm going to ask people who are registered voters to please sit down. We have seats. There are 412 of them here. I can't count your vote if you stand up. Thank you. Article 4.
I move that the town vote to transfer and appropriate $100,000 from the Water Infrastructure Improvement Stabilization Fund to design an elevated water storage tank and pump station, included but not limited to the hiring of architects, engineers, and other professionals for the preparation of designs, working drawings, bid documents, and related materials.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Would the maker of the motion like to speak to it, please?
Yes, this is taking money out of that account that we just put the money into. The town has an opportunity to get some stimulus money towards building this water tank that we need to realize economic revenue. This is seed money. You don't automatically get a grant or stimulus funds from the state. There's a lot of rules and regulations you have to borrow, so this money will be towards the design of the water tower.
Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends approval.
Thank you. Does anyone care to speak to this article? I see no one moving to the microphone. Oh, someone is moving to the microphone.
I'm Leo Dubois, 1 Long Point Road. They said we're supposed to get some kind of an economic benefit or something out of this. Can you explain why we need this water tank? I mean, we all work on private wells except for a few properties. So what's this water tank going to do to make Lakeville a more wonderful place?
Nancy?
Okay, well, you're right, a lot of Lakeville is on private wells, but our business, for example, the new residences at the train station, our Great Ponds Industrial Park, and some of the private residential, and the new residences at the train station are all going to be dependent on public water. There's not enough pressure in the system at this time. For the first time in 100 years, Lakeville has the opportunity to realize revenue from our own water. All these years, Taunton is recognizing the revenue from our water. This is the first step in our taking control of our own water. We will be able to master meter in the beginning, and eventually my hope is that we can hook up to the town wells. Instead of all that revenue going to Taunton, it's going to come to Lakeville where it's very badly needed, and we can't do that without the water tower.
All right, now, where are you going to get the water? Say you build this tower in a year. Where is that water to fill this tower up going to come from?
Well, there was a handout tonight, and we're going to talk about it in Article 18 in more depth, but the water comes with a pumping station also. Will be located at the town highway barn, and that will pump the 500,000 gallons into the water tower.
Well, where are you going to get the water, though?
The water's going to come right now from Taunton, but from Taunton, well, it comes from Assawamsett, it goes through a long pipe and goes into Elder's Pond, and it comes out, but that's Taunton's water right now, until it goes into the tank.
So we're going to buy water from Taunton to fill our tank.
Well, we're already buying water from Taunton.
So what are we going to accomplish?
We're going to accomplish that eventually we can master meter. Those people are all paying their money to Taunton. They will be paying it in the future, hopefully, to us.
So, all right, you're going to pay so much to Taunton per 1,000 cubic feet of water. So you're going to bill these people like more or something? I don't understand how, if you're going to buy water from Taunton and we're going to put it in our water tower that we spend a lot of money to build, is how that's going to be an advantage to us versus doing nothing.
If we do nothing, we have no pressure. We don't have pressure for fire suppression, the safety of even our elementary school and all the new things that hopefully will go in would be in jeopardy. Actually, we won't be allowed to do any more hook-ins. We couldn't hook in national development, and there's some question about hooking in even to the train station because there's not sufficient water pressure.
All right. The tower is going to be up at the town highway barn, what is it?
No, excuse me. The pump that pumps the water will be at the highway barn. The water tower will be in the industrial park. We voted on the site will be in Great Ponds Industrial Park on the landfill property.
All right, so to get the water from near the highway barn to the other end of town is going to require a 8 or a 10-inch water main.
It's already there.
Oh, the one they put in on Precinct Street a few years ago? I'm
It
just
goes
trying
through
to
the
understand
industrial
this
park. There's a
before we
12-inch line that
All
goes
right.
through the industrial park, and that's what the water tank will be hooked into.
See, I'm just looking at the fiscal mess we're in, and, you know, sometimes I wonder, should we be spending money on this when we're going to be making cuts in other things?
Right, but if you read the handout, you will see that it will not cost the taxpayers anything. We're going to hopefully pass that we would
I'm
take a
sorry.
state statute.
Yeah, I just never have seen anything in my life.
It will come
more
out of user
positive.
fees. It will come out of user fees and betterment fees when the big projects tie in.
All right.
And I can't see why you don't understand how that money, instead of going to Taunton, will come back to Lakeville in revenue. That's
Well, all
that's
right.
what we need. We
Now,
need more revenue to
You
fix
men-
this financial
all right,
mess.
You mentioned the betterment fees. Are you going to charge any betterment fees for the people who own property that this main is now going by or anything?
We will do an additional user fee.
Only if they use it, though.
Right, only the people who are using it. The only fees will be for the people that use it, and the betterment fees will be for the people who tie on. Yep, let Steve say something.
Maybe I can help out a little bit.
Okay.
Yes, you're absolutely right, the economic times are difficult right now, but it seems that when those times
Could you speak into the microphone, please? Thanks.
Is it on?
It's on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree, the economic times are very difficult at this time, but it always seems like the good opportunities end up coming around where it ends up being a little bit painful in order to look forward to the future, and in this case, this is one of those, because with the economic stimulus package that President Obama has passed, there was some great opportunities to get what they call an SRF loan towards this tower, where we would end up paying, it would come out to about negative 14% on that money. So there's also, I guess there are 3 towns in the state of Massachusetts that are applying for this, and they have to be up and ready very quickly, like August 1st. So if they're not, we would get their money. So with all the other calculations that we have done as far as the betterment fees, this looks like a no-lose situation where we don't have to do any debt exclusion. We can have this thing pay for itself over time with the seed money that we have. So it's looking towards the future where national development eventually will rebuild the Lakeville Hospital, and they'll have water pressure, and they'll be able to go forward with that project as well as any other industrial park building.
Okay, well, thank you for your explanation.
Yes, sir. Identify yourself, please.
Paul Olivera, County Road, Lakeville. I was just, given that you talked about the water going to help out,
You're going to have to talk into the microphone.
trying, is it on?
Yes, but you're going to have to get real close to it.
I'm close enough. So given that the water is down in the area where the development is, national development, I was just wondering why we can't hook into the Middleborough water supply to supply that area, as we talked about when we had national development developing in that area.
Nancy?
I'm just going to answer this quick, but I mean, this is in Article 18, Mr. Moderator, so I will...
I understand, but they're
Okay.
voting on this and they want to know.
Okay. Hooking into Middleborough water doesn't give us any potential for the future. We would be there forever, and Middleborough would be in control of the water, and they would get all the money for it. We're trying everything we can, I would say, and we need to explore all ideas, and this is a great time right now because of the stimulus money, but we need more revenue. I think there's no time that has been more obvious than tonight, and we're trying to explore ways to get revenue. With building the water tower and working with Taunton on an IMA, we have the potential in the future to own our own water, control our own water, and receive the revenue for our own water. Middleborough is really a dead-end street, and I have to say, in talking to the Middleborough selectmen, I don't know how they would possibly want to give us water. When National Development was coming in with a stop and shop, if they gave us water, we'd be taking their stop and shop. So that's how that kind of turned around with Middleborough and Lakeville not being able to agree on an IMA, because why would they want to give us water for us to steal their stop and shop? And they would lose revenue. So they wanted an outrageous amount of money for it. And Middleborough would be getting that money, and Lakeville should be getting that money.
Just one last question, follow-up.
Yep.
So given that we would be getting revenue back to pay for this water tower, and obviously this money that we're taking out of this account as seed money would go back we're not going to go for a question to the taxpayers of whether or not they want to build this water tower through a debt exclusion. It doesn't mean that you have to borrow money if you go through a debt exclusion. It just means that the taxpayer is approved to spend that money. It seems like we're taking the money out of the budget and out of reserve accounts versus just going through a debt exclusion, which asks the question, do you want to build a water tower? We'll take the fees to go forward and do that. It's just different from being involved in building projects. Usually you ask the taxpayers for the project vis-a-vis a debt exclusion, and then you don't have to borrow the money if you don't need to. You could still use betterment fees and such.
Mr. Mansfield, could you answer that question, please?
But we'll see when.
Okay, Mr. Olivier.
The stimulus money has rules.
Yeah. Why don't you answer that?
Okay.
Okay.
Along with the stimulus money, there are rules that you have to follow, and that the motion under Article 18 at the annual town meeting is a state revolving fund loan, and it's the language that you have to use, and also the ARRA, American Recovery Act, with the stimulus money. There's really a tight timeline. It's almost like they don't want you to meet the timelines. If we're not ready to go by August 1st, somebody else gets our stimulus money. If we're ready to go by August 1st and somebody else isn't, we could get even additional stimulus money. So that's the worst case scenario we're looking at is that it would be 14% negative.
May I comment?
Sure.
We've actually, first of all, without this, the economic development for the town of Lakeville is going to cease.
Gary, they can't hear you, I think.
Can't hear? First of all, can you hear?
Yeah.
Without this, there will be no longer an ability to have any economic development to help defray some of the costs for the town. We do not have sufficient water pressure to be able to hook up another business in the town. So we need it from an economic perspective. Secondly, we're at a position right now where there are several sources of revenue that we can tap into, including low-cost loans that are, in essence, going to pay for a good portion of this. Plus, the remaining portion will be through betterment fees that we are able to assess over the life of the loan. So we're in a position where basically Taunton is saying to us, we've put in the infrastructure with the exception of the tower. If you build the tower, we'll turn over this infrastructure to you, and you can get the water pressure. We have enough water committed from Taunton. Matter of fact, we have an excess capacity right now, so it's not a problem at all. And it turns us from being a town that is constantly going to other communities, begging for water to do something, to a town that is in control of its own water system and is able to reap the rewards of billing the users of that particular service and the revenue coming back to the town. We're fortunate, as we've mentioned repeatedly, that the timing from a revenue perspective is wonderful for us. It's bad when it comes to the town budget, but the revenues that we're receiving are really outside of the operating budget.
So then all we need, just to clarify what I think I just heard, so then all we need is the $100,000 in design fees monies so that we can then go off and apply for these grants and these other things to get the money to build the tower? So this is just kind of seed money?
Right.
Yes, that's what it was called.
Right?
Seed is the optimum word, and there is a rather lengthy discussion and handout in the annual town meeting to seek your approval of it.
Okay, well, that's good. That means the other money in that account is available for other needs for the town, so that's good to hear. Thanks.
Thank you. Seeing no further questions, this is going to be a two-thirds vote. If it's not unanimous, we have to count, and I don't think it's going to be unanimous. Therefore, I am going to ask the counters to please stand up and be ready to count. People in the back, if you're a registered voter, you have to sit down. If you don't sit down, the counters aren't going to count you. We have seats here, we have seats here, we have seats on the side. But I've asked several times, and you have to sit down. Thank you. Would we give them a moment, please? There are 14 seats down here.
Second row.
Okay, I think we're almost there. And the seats on this side too, so it's a cram-in night, and it's not going to get any better. All in favor of Article 4, please raise your cards. Counters, please count. Do you have a count? Oh, no, he's still going.
58.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
76.
76, thank you. 56, thank you. 80, thank you. All opposed, please raise your cards. Yeah, put your cards down if you already voted. All opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you.
1.
1, thank you. Thank you.
8.
8, thank you. The vote was 280 in favor, 18, yes.
Cafeteria vote.
Oh, we have people in the cafeteria?
Yes, we do.
When did that happen?
10 minutes ago.
Okay.
I'm not sure how we're going to handle this.
I was going to address it before we went to the annual, which is right now, so
I had 1 yes, 11 no.
thank you. The vote is 281 in favor, 29 opposed. I declare it passed by more than 2/3. I will now entertain a motion to dissolve the special town meeting. Seconded. Motion is made and seconded to dissolve the special town meeting. All in favor of dissolving the special town meeting, please raise your cards. Thank you. You may put them down. All opposed? I see no opposition. We have dissolved the special town meeting. We have a unique situation that I have not experienced in a long while, and that is a nice, full town meeting. So full that we have some people in the cafeteria who are listening and watching in there. Because of the fact that we have an overflow, if anyone in the cafeteria wishes to speak, they are going to have to come into the auditorium in order to do so. We will also have a counter, Joe Chamberlain, in there to count the positive and negative votes. Mr. Markson, you have a question?
Yeah, may I inquire as to how many people are in the cafeteria? Because there do seem to be a few seats here and there, and if there are only 11, as I heard, then we can probably fit them in here.
Well,
I would suggest we do so.
We will give it a shot. Would you like to go count? I'm not being sarcastic. Somebody has to do it.
They can hear you, right?
Seeing as you brought it up. We're in between meetings here. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Mr. Markson, never mind. There are tons of people in line. So I think it's...
That's 2,000. Long ton?
We could sell the standing room for a lower price.
Yeah, what part of 0, huh?
Chamberlain?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say it's only 11 votes. It wouldn't swing that one either way. Yeah, I was going to say it's dissolved now.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
On the elected
doesn't
officials,
that
we
door
did
connect to the cafeteria?
Yes.
Wouldn't that be a good way for people to get to come over?
Well, we're going... I've never done it before. We'll see how it goes this way, okay?
Okay.
We'll add $77.
Late, not too bad. A quorum being present, and that's saying something, this annual town meeting will come to order. The warrant for this town meeting was signed by the Board of Selectmen on May 21st, 2009, and was published on May 28th, 2009, edition of the Middleborough Gazette, and was posted by Constable Stephen Leuns on May 27th, 2009. Therefore, I declare that the requirements of Chapter 2, Section 3 of the General Bylaws of the town and Chapter 39, Section 10 of the Massachusetts General Laws have been satisfied. For this meeting, I have appointed people as tellers. Marilyn Hunt is doing the left. Joe Beneski is doing the back center. Bob Canessa is doing the center, front, and the stage. And Leanne Cataldo is doing the right. And Joe Chamberlain and Deanna Slocum are counting in the cafeteria. This meeting will be operated in accordance with Massachusetts general laws, the town's general bylaws, and precedent of prior town meeting. While the town bylaws address some of the parliamentary procedures, prior town meetings have relied upon the volume town meeting time as a standard for conduct at Lakeville town meetings, and it is my intention to continue to this precedent. The microphones are still here and have been positioned in the two aisles. I ask that if you seek recognition from the moderator, that you go to one of the two microphones. If you are in the cafeteria, you will have to come in here, and I will try and be a little slow on saying, are there any further questions? Please, if you approach a microphone, would you please make sure that you have your card in your hand, and for the annual town meeting, it is a green card. It's not easy going to be green tonight. You would please feel free, if you wish to identify yourself, you may feel free to do so. If you have any kind of a motion, make sure it's in writing and you present it to the moderator. We have no standard relative to the length of time, but generally it's not been an issue. I'll exercise my prerogatives in keeping the time reasonable. As is past practice, I will allow the maker of the motion opportunity to speak on the motion before recognizing anyone else. And after the maker of the motion has had the opportunity to speak, I'll get the recommendation of the Finance Committee. In the case of zoning articles, I'll get the recommendation of the Planning Board and receive their report of the public hearing. You will be using your green cards to vote. No food or drink, just water. Everyone should have a copy of the warrant. If you don't, raise your hand and the teller will get you one. There's someone in the back who doesn't have a copy of the special. Two people in the front. While that's happening, we can do the next thing. Keep your hands raised, please. Some people down in here don't have them either, and 3 people over there don't have them. What's the story, Mr. Beneski? There are 3 people over here, so they would want to share one over there, and there are a couple of people here. Can you possibly share, or if you can share, it would be, this is unprecedented. We have a couple more, so get them while they're hot. All right, everyone should have a copy of the warrant who needs one. I will now seek a motion to waive the reading of the warrant, which means I'd have to read the whole thing to you first.
So moved.
And seconded? Motion was made and seconded. All in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. You may put them down. All opposed, please raise your cards. Seeing none, I declare it unanimously passed. As I said earlier at the special, and I will repeat again, we have some people this evening who may be asked to speak who are not citizens of the town. And I'm going to ask that they be allowed to speak. Laurie Hunter, Assawamsett Principal, Robert Iafredi, Building Commissioner, Christopher Peck, Superintendent of the Streets, Mark Sorrell, Chief of Police, Louis Rodericks, Interim Superintendent of the Schools and current Business Manager, David Young and Benjamin Levesque of the engineering firm of Camp Dresser and McKee, and Sherry Clancy of National Development may be asked to speak. Does anyone object to their speaking to you this evening? Seeing no objection, I will take that as unanimous approval. Thank you. Article 2. Article 1.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate $137,666 to pay the salary of all elected officers.
Thank you. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation? Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
I second the motion first, but the Finance Committee recommends approval.
Thank you. I thought we already had a second over here.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes.
Yes, I'd like to add to that. This has been a very long and tough year budget-wise, as everybody probably knows at their own household. The Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee, along with town departments, have been working since October and really moving a lot of numbers around, the governor's numbers, the House number, and so on. And it's been tough. We believe we've come to some consensus of what works for the town. And in doing this, we just received notice today that the police and fire have both accepted they've actually offered to the town a raise freeze. They won't be getting any raises this year. And this also goes for the non-union employees. And I think that was very honorable for them to do that. And as far as I'm concerned, I appreciate it very much. And I think it's going to save us around $77,000 this year alone. So thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you. I'm going to read Article 1, the totals, and I'll have to do this when we get to Article 2, because we have a three-stage budget, but it really doesn't apply to Article 1 at all. But I am going to give you the totals in any case from the recommended budget. Selectmen personnel, $5,000. Assessors personnel, $5,000. Board of Health personnel, $5,000. Treasurer and collector personnel, $65,254. And town clerk personnel, $57,412. Anyone object to any of those pieces? Hearing no objection, then we'll move to a vote, seeing as there's no one at the microphone. All in favor of Article 1, please raise your cards. Thank you. You may put them down. All opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. You may put them down. I declare it passed by a majority vote. I'm going to check on that now. I think, Mr. Markson, you're correct.
Sit down, you gotta go.
Come on. There he is.
Not yet. I'm saying before the end of the meeting.
I'm going to open this door. I'm going to turn to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right next to me.
Yeah, they've got a TV and everything, right? They can hear everything.
They have, I don't know about the TV, but they don't have the audio.
yeah, they said they could see us. Yeah.
Hey, what did they do with it?
Problem is we can't see them. So,
Yeah,
Air, cross ventilation.
a little more importantly, we can't tell if they voted what they voted or whatever.
Right.
So that's why I think he's doing this.
yeah, I don't, it might be shot for it, though.
Semaphore flags.
It's gonna go again. It's going already.
Article 2.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate $11,851,759, appropriate $200,000 from free cash, transfer and appropriate $350,000 from the Water Infrastructure Improvement Stabilization Fund, transfer and appropriate $16,528 from the Massachusetts Water Pollution Abatement Trust, transfer and appropriate $12,500 from the Expendable Cemetery Trust, appropriate $85,000 to Park Enterprise, and raise $40,000 from the Park Enterprise receipts, transfer $20,000 from the park retained earnings, and raise $25,000 from the tax levy, appropriate $387,000 to the landfill enterprise, and raise $252,000 from landfill enterprise receipts, and transfer $135,000 from landfill enterprise retained earnings to defray town expenses for the fiscal period July 1, 2009 to June 30, 2010 inclusive. All as set forth in the column captioned FinCom recommendation non-contingent appropriations. And further, that the amount shown in the column captioned contingent appropriations 1 million override be apportioned from the appropriated from the tax levy contingent upon the passage of a Proposition 2.5 referendum question under General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 21C, and the additional amount shown in the column captioned Contingent Appropriations 1.7 million override be appropriated from the tax levy contingent upon the passage of a Proposition 2.5 referendum question under the General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 21C, and the understanding that the vote taken hereunder shall authorize an override amount of not more than 1.7 million.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second, Mr. Moderator.
Motion has been made and seconded. Before we read the budget, we have a few things we have to take care of. The first is that the Finance Committee wishes to give their recommendation for all three. Okay? Mr. Mansfield.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee is recommending the approval of the non-contingent budget and the contingent budget overrides of 1 million and 1.7 million. The approval of the committee of these three budgets is necessary for the town to spend the money should one of the two overrides pass. I would ask that Mr. Olivier now speak.
Mr. Moderator, in a separate vote, the Finance Committee approved the non-contingent budget and the contingent budget override of $1 million, but did not approve the budget override of $1.7 million. We are recommending the entire contingent budgets to avoid a special town meeting in the event that the contingent budget of $1.7 million passes.
In other words, if they didn't recommend the amount and 1.7 passed, there would be no sums of money there to spend. That's why they put that in. Before we continue, the town council has a few things to say.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Again, I'm Kay Doyle from Kopelman and Page, and I'm part of Lakeville's Town Council team. I was asked tonight to address some confusion with regard to what the override is, what you are doing tonight, and what will happen at an election, which I understand is scheduled for Saturday, July 18th. An override allows a community to assess taxes in excess of the automatic annual 2.5% increase and any increase due to new growth. What you are doing tonight, as has been somewhat explained by the previous comments, is you are designating where the money will go on the contingent appropriations. There are two contingent appropriations. This is called a pyramid override. There is one contingent appropriation for $1 million. There is another contingent appropriation for $1.7 million. The chart that the town meeting will be going over in a few minutes will demonstrate differences between the two. Tonight, you will be asked to vote on where the appropriations or those different budgets will go in the event that they are voted successfully at the July 18th election. If they are not passed at the July 18th election, the appropriations that are contingent on their passage will not be made. Instead, the baseline budget, which is the non-contingent appropriation, will be the budget.
Okay. Now, what I'm going to be doing is reading the entire budget, Article 2, okay, the totals. And what I will do is I will first read the non-contingent appropriation, then I will read the $1 million override contingent and the $1.7 million override contingent for that line. For instance, it says Selectmen personnel, $204,446. Then I will read $1 million override, $24,554. That's money that would be added if that passed. And then I would read $24,554, which would be added if that passed. Okay? So I'm going to be reading it that way. Now, if anyone has a hold on any particular number, we will go through the entire budget, and then I will go back to the holds. Some people may have a hold because they simply have a question. Some people have a hold because they may want to tell you what that means. And some people may have a hold because they want to change an amount, although that might be difficult. Okay? So that's the way we're going to handle it. Do you have a point of order, sir?
I had a question on the motion.
Not yet.
While I'm waiting.
It's going to be 15 minutes. Okay. I just thought you might. Okay. Here we go. Selectmen personnel, $204,446. $1 million override, $24,554. $1.7 million override, $24,554. Selectmen expenses, $163,000. On which zero? Thank you. Finance committee expenses, $900. 0. Accounting personnel, $100,778. $1,286. $1,286. Accounting expenses, $50,965. $6,700. $6,700. Assessors personnel, $103,922. $11,000. $11,000. I'm going to be right back. Tale of two cities. That was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Assessors expenses, $19,820. $12,213. $19,937. Treasurer and collector personnel, $111,744. $10,900. $10,900. Treasurer and collector expenses, $32,600. 0. Law expenses, $40,000. 0. Wage and Personnel Board, $600, 0, 0. Town Clerk Personnel, $39,529, 6,176, 6,176. Town Clerk Expenses, $1,280, 0, 0. Election expenses, $12,800, 0, 0. Registration expenses, $8,850, 0, 0. Conservation Commission expenses, $13,100, 0, 0. Planning Board expenses, $150. Appeals Board expenses, $300, 0, $350. Historic Townhouse expenses, $4,500, 0, $500. Town Office and Fire Station expenses, $126,000, or $7,000 and $17,500. Town Report expenses, $500, 0, and $500. Cable TV advisory expense, $5,000, 0, 0. Other general government expenses, $52,002, 0, 0. Police Department personnel, $1,073,638, $242,448, $312,597. On the last one or all of them? Okay. Police Department expenses, $176,750, minus $8,000, 0. Fire Department personnel, $775,947, $39,665, $77,946. Fire Department expenses, $82,025, $8,000, $17,384. Building Inspector personnel, $97,980, 0, 0. Building Inspector expenses, $5,200, 0, 0. Gas Inspector expenses, $11,000, 0, 0. Plumbing Inspector expenses, $16,500, 0, 0. Sealer of Weights and Measures expenses, $1,600, 0, 0. Electrical Inspector expenses, $22,000, 0, 0. Animal Inspector expense, $5,400, 0, $600. Civil Defense personnel, 0, 0, 0. Civil Defense expenses, $850, 0, $1,000. Animal Shelter Dog Officer personnel, $60,441, $3,500, $10,500. Animal Shelter Dog Officer expenses, $17,740, $182, $160. Administration, $162,000. This is K through 4 schools. Administration, $162,966, 0, 0. Total K through 4, $4,182,410, 522,801, and 671,113. I have a hold.
Does he have to do all those?
I don't do the subs, I only do the totals.
But administration, you did.
Yeah, I think he didn't have to.
Oh, you didn't have to.
No. Highway Department personnel, $389,418, $40,500, $51,000. Highway Department expenses, $99,332, $17,000, $35,250. Snow and ice personnel, $10,000, 0, 0. Snow and ice expenses, $30,000, 0, 0. Street lighting expenses, $14,000, 0, 0. Cemetery expenses, $12,500, 0, 0. Board of Health personnel, $127,032, $16,662, $22,683. Board of Health expenses, $6,264, 0, $10,641. Board of Health visiting nurse expense, $2,000, 0, 0. Council on Aging personnel, $94,353, $13,926, $16,926. Council on Aging expense, $17,174, $6,985, $10,956. Hold on what? On the whole thing? Veterans benefits, $5,379, 0, 0. Veterans benefits expense, $13,250, 0, 0. Library personnel, $153,919.
Hold.
$28,448 and $28,804, and I have a hold on it. Library expenses, $67,138, $13,000, $26,460. Historic Library Building, $3,000, 0, 0. Historical Commission expenses, $450, 0, $50. Total debt service, which is a page beyond the page, $861,157. Are you with me?
Yep.
0, 0. Total regional assessments, $1,587, 0, 0. Unemployment expense, $440,000, minus $345,000, minus $427,000. Total employee benefits, $2,312,141, $120,054, $150,254. Total property and liability insurance, $190,000, 0, 0. Park enterprise personnel, $43,782, 0, 0. Park enterprise expense, $41,218, 0, 0. Total park enterprise revenue, $85,000, 0, 0. Landfill transfer enterprise personnel, $160,725, 0, 0. Landfill transfer enterprise expense, $211,275, 0, 0. Landfill transfer capped expense, $15,000, 0, 0. Total landfill enterprise revenues, minus $387,000, 0, 0. And that does it. So we're going to go back to the holds many, many moons ago. The first hold I have is on selectmen expenses, $163,000. Oh, yes, sir.
I had two holds, planning board expenses
Oh, good Lord.
and police department wage.
And what?
Police department wage.
Okay. They're both held on this side, too, so we'll come back to them. All right, we're at selectmen expenses. This is not going to be an easy night, so bear with me. Go ahead.
Hi, Dennis Santos, 2 Cedar Pond Road. I'm just curious if you can clarify what the increase of $147,000 is for other contracted services and engineering?
Would someone care to clarify?
That's part of the money that we just voted, the $100,000. We actually need for the water tower. The design, engineering, design, and appropriation amounts actually $210,000, so that's $100,000 of it. $150, actually.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. You have a question on the same article?
Yes, I do, Mr. Moderator.
Yes.
I would like some clarification on hourly wages, part-time clerical. There are 2 layoffs. I fear that one of those layoffs is my clerk.
All right. You're addressing your question to one of the selectmen?
Yes, I am, or whoever will answer for me.
Nancy, you're...
Yes, it is. The 2 part-time people in the
Madam
selectman's
Chairman,
office.
I'd like you to know that I've been a member of the planning board as an elected official for 28 years. When I first came on, the expense that we had for our budget was $250, 27 years ago. Today, my other hold is, when I'm looking at our budget is $100. We meet more often than the Board of Health. And I'm very concerned that we won't be able to provide the services that we provide without a part-time clerk. Now, part of her duty when she's in the office of the Board of Selectmen is to handle business that the Board of Selectmen do. I just can't believe that you would consider cutting that part-time clerk position.
Nancy?
Okay. I was just getting clarification from Rita. She would still be in the secretarial pool. She would still be paid for taking the minutes for your meeting. But with the cutbacks at 20%, there was no way that we could keep those 2 people on. And I agree with you, Jim. It's very valuable to have her as a liaison between the planning board and everyone else in the town hall.
I mean, we've fought having a planner for years and years, which would be an expense close to $50,000. You know, I mean, that's a position that we can't let go and we need. You know, there's got to be some way to be able to figure that out, because, you know, it's a service that's needed. There are people who come in on a regular basis, need information. I maintain constant communication with her, whether it's through email, but I still do it through the town hall emails.
Well, that part would be restored in the override. And I agree with you. I don't know how we could, especially with all the cutbacks in all the departments, I can't see how we could do without both of those positions, because as there's cutbacks in other departments, more and more people are going to be coming to the selectman's office to look for answers when there's not people in the other department to answer their questions. So I totally agree with you, and that's part of the reason that the $1 million override's on there, or both.
And without that, I'm just out of luck.
We lose one too, though.
I mean, I just think this is...
That's Leanne, too.
Right, well,
I mean,
there's
I can go
2.
back over the budget. I could have held probably another 10 or 12 line items, but I mean, there are the line items that I believe should have money in there. It's just that, going back through, I mean, people like the Cemetery Commission, the Historic Commission, I mean, their budgets are 5 times what our budget is.
But the Cemetery Commission, that's their own money. That's their interest off their money, and they've really stepped up to the plate to bring revenue into the town.
Nancy, we generate $1,000 on a site plan review. 1. I mean, now the site plan review can't even be submitted. There's nobody there to take it.
Their funds.
Oh,
They have
Rita?
They have
Go ahead.
funds that they can.
Mr. Chairman,
Moderator?
excuse me, Jim, Rita was just saying, the town administrator, was that you could probably pay this person with your money that generates through fees, but a point is the Board of Selectmen are also losing a person as well, but there is probably a way we can figure something out there. Okay.
Conservation rate, if they're going to talk about conservation, they raise their fees.
To be honest, Mr. Selectman, the town administrator has really never let us down in stuff that we've needed. I'm just concerned that the budget right now, at least for us, seems to be going really in the wrong way. I take it that we have a very huge responsibility in what we do, and currently the fees that we collect were something that we implemented so that we could have a conservation agent within our community. And my understanding is those fees still are paying her wages.
Actually, they haven't covered that cost, Jim. So the Conservation Commission is actually, if you'll see an increase in conservation, it's because they have been allowed by the state to raise their fees for an RDA. Before, an RDA was free. If she did 20 site visits, it was still covered under the cost of like a notice of intent and nothing for an RDA. And now the state has allowed them to collect fees, so that's why that line item went up. But we've been cut back overall $1 million. So, I mean, we've looked at everything very carefully as we continue to go on through this budget, and nobody's more sorry than I am to lose those 2 positions in the Selectman's office. But we also didn't have them previously there. So we will continue to do the best we can, and we will not be able to figure out exactly what we're going to do until we go to the polls on July 18th and see what happens with the override. Then we will either renegotiate everything or we'll have to go with a balanced budget.
Thank you. Could you please just tell people very quickly, one sentence, what's an RBA? Because nobody knows but you and him.
It's a resource delineation area. It's conservation will come in and tell you whether or not there are wetlands or bordering vegetated wetlands on your property.
Thank you. I'm removing that hold. The next hold I have is on planning board expense, $150. Thank you. Next hold I have is on police department personnel, $1,073,638, and then $242,448, and then $312,597. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so Bill Olivera, County Road. Bill Olivera, County Road.
You're going to have to swallow the mic practically.
Yep, here we go. Got it. So at what point in the process can you make motions to adjust the budget?
Anytime you want. But please understand, somebody's going to ask you where you're getting the money from.
Yeah. But at what point would you like me to tell you that?
Now. Because once we pass the budget, it's a done deal. So if you're going to make any adjustments at all, you must entertain them as an amendment. You need a second. It's got to be discussed, and it's got to be voted on. And it has to be done in writing, which he had plenty of time to do, I think.
Would you like me to do that now, Ms. Moderator?
I would.
Okay, thank you.
That way we can discuss it.
So I'd be looking to amend the existing motion to see if the town will transfer from the Water Infrastructure Improvement Stabilization Fund, which is unencumbered money, a sum of $1.35 million to be used as follows in the non-contingent budget. So this would be the budget before the override budget, so the override budgets would still take effect.
The first line, right.
The first line. Proposed to add $30,000 into the library personnel account, $20,000 into the Council on Aging account, $300,000 into the police salaries account, and $1 million for the K through 4 elementary school account.
May I have that, please? Do I hear a second? Second. Motion has been made and seconded.
Yep. You gonna talk to it?
Well, that's what his first thing is.
What we are going to do now is we are going to be discussing the amendment that he has made. Once we are finished discussing it, we, as a town meeting, have to majority vote on adding it or defeating it, which returns it to the same figures that I originally read before the hold. And by the way we do things, the man who just presented the amendment has the opportunity to speak. You. Explain.
So, turn this way. I want to talk to you folks. So this money that I'm looking to move is money that we got from the lawsuit. It's unencumbered money. It can be utilized for various things. And as you've seen earlier in the night, we're appropriating some money out of this account to do the site work for the well or the water tower. But there's about $1.7 million in that account. So my motion is to take that money and use it to offset our budget while we go to the polls. This way, should the override fail, we have some safety net to carry the town for one more year, and hopefully better fiscal times are ahead of us. This economy will turn around. If not, then of course we have a challenge in our town. But as I looked at the budget, I mean, all departments could take some money, and there's only so much in that account. But I felt that I would put a motion to the folks here in the room that we take that money tonight. With a 2/3 vote, we can take that money tonight and apply it to those line items as I just described. And then that goes into the budget for this year. On July 18th, when we have the override votes and people decide what they want to do, should the override vote pass, now that money can be reappropriated back into this stabilization account. It's a stabilization account. It's unencumbered. I thought it was a good use of it, so I thought I'd propose it tonight.
A reply.
Yes.
And then I'll go to you, Mr. Markson, next, okay?
I think that this is a totally irresponsible thing to deplete this account. We've taken already $200,000 out of that account to put into our operational budget. You never want to use $1.35 million as one-time money. The lawsuit that we won against the town is because there were MBTEs in our water. We had bad water.
That was from gasoline, right?
Yes, from gasoline. This money was, we won a lawsuit to make our water better. This will be our one opportunity. There are a lot of different angles on this. One thing is right now at our highway barn for a gas bill, we spend $110,000 a year for, how many years already, Rita?
She's not there.
Oh, she's not there. Since 1999, we spend $110,000 a year on that cleanup of that spill of that gas at the highway barn. This water tower and having that water go to the highway barn, public water, would take away that charge of $110,000. Taking away our opportunity to increase our revenue in the future is a totally irresponsible thing to do. Putting that money into the budget, it's one-time money. We won't have that next year. We'll still be in trouble. We're trying to get our way out of trouble, not into more trouble.
Are you saying that the water tower can't be built if the money is used for that?
Well,
I don't understand what you're saying.
we need that as seed money. We don't know what the total expenses will be yet. Like I say, we've already taken $200,000 out of there to put into the operational budget, which is about as far as we think it's responsible to use one-time money. But we don't know what the end result. Maybe next year, if there's money left over, we still don't know what a lot of those costs would be and what we have to spend to move forward. We need some money. That would deplete totally that account. By the time we paid for design, and that would be about, and put the $200,000 into the operating budget, that would be all that was left, and they would leave nothing in there. And we need some seed money in there because we don't really know how much it's going to cost out of that money to complete this project. When the project's completed, then next year, if we need additional money and the project is completed and we know exactly how much it's going to cost, we won't need that backup money. But for this year, I think it's irresponsible to deplete that account.
Thank you, Mr. Markson.
I think Select Person Yates has answered my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir. Please identify yourself.
Norman Oral.
This motion.
I would just like to say that this is too large a sum of money for a motion from the floor to be dictating where it goes, and specifically that it needs to go to the voters, to the ballot, before making the decision. So I would say no to this motion.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Bob Marshall from Barstow Street. Folks on the FinCom and the Board of Selectmen, I have read nor heard nothing about what your positions are on either or both of the overrides. In order for me to make a decision, whether it be on this amendment or any of the items in the budget, I think I need that information.
Are you speaking to the selectmen through me?
I'm speaking to, through you, the FinCom and the Board of Selectmen. Have they taken a position?
Well, I
And
think
if
they
so-
already mentioned what position the Finance Committee has, but I'm not
Okay,
sure.
yes, that's true.
The Finance Committee, but not the selectmen. Selectmen care to comment?
Sorry, gang.
Would it be okay if the FinCom reiterates what they said first
think-
again, in
well-
case somebody missed it?
Okay, fine.
The Finance Committee had a separate vote, and we approved the $1 million override. And the reason that we approved only the $1 million override is because we recognize that these are tough economic times and that it's impacting everyone out there. At oil hovering around $72 a barrel, gas going up to $3, people trying to pay last year's heating bill. It's asking a lot to have people kick in another 14.5% or $1.7 million override in their taxes. As it is, the $1 million will be an increase of 9.5%. We feel there is a little bit of room where people will have to tighten their belts and cut back, and we can all move forward, and it will help mitigate the least amount of loss of personnel with the 1 million. But everybody has to share into the pain. That's why we approve the $1 million override.
Do the selectmen wish to comment beside the Finance Committee? Because he was asking from each of the two boards.
Right, and the selectmen really never took a vote. We gave the option to the people. There was pressure on us, and the people said that they wanted the opportunity to vote on an override of $1 million and 1.7, and we put that opportunity out there. We voted to put it on the ballot, but I think our opinions might vary, so we never took a vote as a board.
Mr. Moderator.
Does that clarify your question?
Well, it gives an answer, but not the one I'm looking for.
Which is you want to know.
Which is I want to know what the leaders of our town feel about this, either one or both of these overrides. I know it's a tough question to answer, folks, and even if you're split on it, I'd like to know what it is.
Okay.
Mr. Moderator, yeah, from my perspective, looking at this budget, we cannot survive on a balanced budget this year. It just is impossible to do it. And that $1 million, after looking at all the cuts that we were able to cut, there's a lot of pain going on, but that $1 million will get us through this year, and that's a number I'm comfortable with. I would not want to hurt the water infrastructure money that we have, because to get that water from Taunton, we get the whole infrastructure for $1. That's all we're going to pay for all the pipes and everything that the city of Taunton has put in the town of Lakeville. And our contribution to that would be the water tower itself and the booster pump. And then we'll be able to buy the water from the city of Taunton at a wholesale rate that's already treated, and then actually possibly sell it cheaper to the residents of Lakeville at less than what Taunton is selling their retail rate. So it's a win-win for us, and it's for the town, because there'll be some revenue. Even 1 cent per gallon would probably bring in $900 and some odd thousand a year. And I hate to see the city of Taunton getting that every year, but I think right now the $1 million override really has to be on the table.
In the beginning, I didn't want any override, and then I tried for $500,000 and settled on realizing, as we look more and more at the budget, how many people would be losing our certification at the library. I think that I agree with Derek on the $1 million. I am not in favor of the 1.7.
I'm the other guy. And I'll tell you why. Not because I want to raise taxes to everybody, but the state has cut us $1.2 million this year, or going forward into next year's revenue. That's money that we can't get back. Combine that with about $1 million that we're short on our revenue anyway, even if they didn't cut us. That's over $2.5 million approximately. Then if you go back another year, there was $300,000 that they cut us going into fiscal year 2009 from the previous year. So now we're close to $3 million that we're off. To reiterate what Derek just said, I mean, there's miles of pipe already in the ground that are serving 100-plus customers with Taunton water right now. That's very important to us. The lawsuit that we won, we were approached almost 3 years ago if we wanted to join this class action suit. It had to do with the contamination of the well at the town office building. The monies that we received in that lawsuit at that time was about $1.8 million. There's been a little bit that has come in since. We're spending money. Right now, according to the town accountant, there's $1,309,000 and change there right now. So there's not enough to support this motion anyway, but that's not the point I'm trying to make. Due to the contamination at the town office building, outside of buying well water or bottled water, that's been the only expense to the taxpayers because of that contamination there. Now, I'm sure when the lawsuit was settled, they look at what is our cost to alleviate the problem that we have. We still have a contaminated well at the town office building. That $1.8 million really should be used to fix that problem. To fix the problem, you need to put up the water tower. Without the water tower, if anyone here goes to the elementary school, they might notice every now and then that the water pressure isn't very good over there. They have the same problem at the elementary school that we have at all the businesses in towns of decreased water pressure and water flow. The water tower will fix that. We can't connect the town office building to the water until we have that water tower. We need that $1.8 million, or the $1.3 that's left, to finish our designs and hold that money in reserve so that if we need it, we have it there to fix the problem. If we take it and use it now, that's not very good judgment on our part, using those monies just because we're in a bind right now. We're all making sacrifices. The three budgets that are before you, the balanced budget, the one with $1 million override, and the one with $1.7 million, all three of them still come with some great concessions by all of us, from the elected officials up here that receive some monies, to anybody that's in town, all the employees. Nobody wants anybody to be laid off. Nobody wants to see anybody have their hours reduced or their insurance is increased. We're doing all these things, though, because we need to. With that $1.2 million less in revenue from the state, the $1 million doesn't quite catch up to that. The $1.7 million doesn't get it all back, but I think with the $1.7 million, it'll bridge us to a point where if we do put in this water tower later on, and we'll be talking about that, that'll increase our revenue stream, that then we can move on, not just with the development in the north end of town, but also that water, when it extends down to the town office building from where the library is right now, that goes by a little convenience store that we all know about. And I'm sure there's people there that would like to have water from our municipal water supply, as well as the other businesses that it will pass by. So I'm in favor of what's best for the community, and that's why I indicated and brought forth the motion to have the $1.7 million override on the ballot.
Thank you. Okay, so you got a $1 million, a $1 million, and a 1.7. Now, before I go any further, Mr. Benesky, I have to ask a clarification of the person who made the amendment, because we're uncertain as to whether or not the amounts that you mentioned are in addition to the amounts that were already there, or are replacing it with the amounts that you named. And I'm going to pass this on to Rita, who will maybe ask the question better than I did.
Would be in addition.
We are using $350,000 from the Water Infrastructure Stabilization Fund on Article 2 already. So with your motion, there is only $1,309,000 left in the water stabilization, so it wouldn't support the $1.35 million.
We just voted earlier to spend $100,000 for design purposes. I thought that was the money for the design of the well. I'm not against the well. I'm against the way it's being funded. I think that, when we built the school, we got seed money to get design services. We brought that proposal back to the town at a town meeting. We showed the taxpayers what it was going to do for the town, and then they voted for it. We're voting on a tower that I haven't seen at a town meeting presented at all. So I thought that the $100,000 was for the design services, right? And then you'd vote whether or not we want to build a water tower. So I took that monies, to answer your question, and allocated 1.35 of that money to the purposes that I amended. And then I believe what's left, considering that we hadn't voted on the motion at hand, I think that Mr. Evers saying that the 350 was already gone. That vote hasn't happened yet. So the 1.35 would be out of that account, and then whatever is left could be used for the other services that are being asked on this motion. So the 350 would have to go down to 250 for what Nancy would like. But that wasn't part of my motion. I was trying to allocate, when I went to the warrant meeting, I asked specifically how much money was in that account, and I was told $1.7 million. Right. I allocated 1.35 to the motion that was just made, leaving, from my knowledge, from the meeting I was at when we were talking about the warrants, $350,000 for that other line item. It wasn't part of my motion, but it was part of Mr. Mansfield's motion.
Does that clarify it, Rita?
So if the monies have dropped since then I would say that Mr. Mansfield's motion is also at risk for not having enough money. Because my motion's on the floor, and there's enough money right now in that account for the motion I made. Because the motion that Mr. Mansfield made hasn't passed yet. Am I correct,
Rita?
Mr. Mansfield's motion hasn't passed, so therefore that $350,000 is not allocated.
Correct.
Right, but you'd have to change that figure.
That's what he's doing.
You change
To
it to 350?
1.25?
Right, so if there's only 1.309
309
left, then Mr. Mansfield's motion would have to come down by $41,000 to balance things out. Because I don't plan to change mine.
Does everyone up here understand it now? Because I just run the meeting. I don't have to do the figures.
But again, I'm not against the water tower. I'm just disappointed at the way we're funding it. When we build large projects like this, we get some design work done, we bring a proposal to the town, we let them vote on that item, and then it's funded that way.
Right.
This use of this fund this isn't a slush fund for the elected officials to use.
Nancy?
I don't understand the misunderstanding. That's exactly what we've done. We've done the design work, and if you look at Article 18 tonight, that's exactly what we're doing, is bringing it to the town. But because of the money that's involved, it's coming up way early in town meeting. Article 18, Article 17 and 18 identify the water tower and bring it to the people and do the explaining. We've had to piece together, we had a really great explanation with the handout and under Article 18, but we've had to talk about it in advance and not really made the full presentation. I would not leave, if you take the 1.35 million out of there right now, there's not going to be enough to do the design work and the things that we need to do. And that will hurt our revenue in the future. I don't think just because we're having a bad year, we can use all that money as one-time funds and hurt our future. For 100 years, we haven't been in control of our own water. Taunton gets the revenue for our water, and we get nothing. It's time that changes.
Thank you. Mr. Marks.
Mr. Moderator, it's my understanding that the water tower is contingent upon some economic stimulus money, and that money is contingent upon our being up at the plate when the ball is pitched. In other words, we got to have this by sometime in August. And if we vote in favor of Mr. Olivier's amendment, we're not going to be ready, and we're going to lose that money, and we're not going to have the water tower, and we're going to lose the water revenue. So I urge that we defeat the amendment.
Mr. Benesky.
Just a question. We heard earlier that the fire and police department did the unions said no raises. We've been to several of the meetings that had to do with the raises for the school committee or for the teachers and stuff like that with their unions, and every time it was, is they're all in negotiation. Haven't heard anything at all in regards to that part of the finances and what is going to be done with this teachers area. All we heard today is that they want another $1 million for the school system. Everybody is in hurting mode, okay? But the problem you have is what the select members are saying to us is that if we do not put enough money in for the tower, okay, we're not going to be able to do things in the future. If we go through and put the vote as it's already without the amendment, okay, we can come back in and do the overrides, all right? Then you can come back and say, this is where the money's going to go. With the proposal in this amendment, it says that we're going to take money from Peter to pay Paul, but we don't know what Paul's going to do with this money, okay? So I'm against this amendment.
Thank you. I see no one else before a microphone. What we have to do now is vote, a majority vote. I'm sorry? I've explained something about that. Were they going to talk to a microphone?
But you gotta take it. You're gonna have to.
You said already, if you have a hold on it, you have to come over here to talk. That's what we're going to do.
But I think if he still needs to pass the budget, where are you gonna take this? You're gonna cut something. Who's adding these amounts?
No, because if you do it, there's going to be 3 more people going to retire. Very well.
So you're gonna have to.
Very well.
If you don't mind.
Yep.
No one in there has a question. And I've told them they better well get in here if they do. We are going to take a vote, and it's a majority vote. We do 2/3 vote on the entire budget, but it's a majority vote for subsidiary motions, which this amendment is. So what we are going to do now is show our cards, and tellers, you're going to have to count very accurately. Person doing the front here, make sure you get the stage. We are going to take a count on all who are in favor of the amendment. Please raise your cards. Tellers, please count.
One.
Thank you.
One.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody looking for a part-time job?
We need a runner.
There's no...
Yeah, it's only 10 people that should sit in the chair.
You may put your cards down. All opposed to this amendment, please raise your cards. We've got it, I think.
Thank you very much.
It's not a 2/3. The motion to amend is a majority. The main
Even though he doesn't say that.
So does that release the whole?
It's just a subsidiary, yeah, it's a subsidiary.
No, the deal is, if I, in my eyes, can see that obviously the majority is in favor of something or opposed to something, I can call it. And as you could see, that's easy enough to call. The amendment is defeated by a majority vote. We are back to the original. So I am down to total K through 4 public schools, $4,182,410. Mr. McQueenie?
Yes, David McQueenie, Dunbar Road, Chairman of the Lakeville School Committee. We think it's very important that the townspeople understand what this non-contingency budget means to our school system. This is $1 million cut. And what I would like to do, if you indulge me just for one moment, we do have our new superintendent here tonight. I'd just like to introduce him. If he could stand up, John McCarthy. He's taking over July 1st, and I'm sure you'll join me in wishing him every success for our children. The school committee would like our principal, Lori Hunter, who is celebrating her 10th anniversary this July 1st as principal of Assawamsett School, to give a brief presentation on the meaning of the non-contingency budget, which represents over $1 million cut to our school system for our K through 4 students. I want to point out that under any of these contingencies, the 2 overrides, the 4th grade, which has heretofore been receiving their educational services at the Grace School, the intermediate school, under any of these overrides, they're going to have to come back to Assawamsett. And Mrs. Hunter will explain very briefly in 5 minutes or so what that means. So thank you. Mrs. Hunter?
Mrs. Hunter has a very brief 5-minute PowerPoint that she wishes to present. Mrs. Hunter, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
We're going to vacate the stage here.
Oh, thank you. The slides are really just to help you keep track of the numbers more than anything else. I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. This has been a really long budget process for us, looking at a 20% cut. You could go to the next one, Craig. Just so you can see the numbers, our number for this year, K4, so this includes the 4th grade at the intermediate school and the K3 population at Assawamsett, $5,228,013. The balanced budget number we're looking at tonight, which is the non-contingency number, $4,182,411 for a total of $1,045,602, 20% of the K4 budget being on the line as we go toward the override votes. That obviously has a lot of cost associated with it. We'll go to the next slide and start to outline some of the facts you need to make sense of it. Our current enrollment numbers are there, 739 children overall, K to 4. We have a dip coming in the kindergarten for the fall, so we're down a little bit. But as you can see, if we were to put K4 back at Assawamsett, we're going to be just over the 700 mark. And right now we're running at about 600. I know you need history a little bit. When the 4th grade left 5 years ago, we were at 750. So we know that that number is not a good number educationally. We know it's doable. We know we can get them in. But we also know that it's not our best case educationally, which is why we fought so hard for that school. Next one, Craig. Here's a quick overview. We have, at the school committee level, voted to bring the 4th grade back to Assawamsett. Because of what savings, reductions, actually we should use as a word, reductions we can benefit towards the overall budget. So as we take these a little bit bullet by bullet, in doing that, we have left behind all staff that was servicing the 4th grade except for the 4th grade teachers and 1 special educator. That means anyone who was servicing both grades has been left behind with 1/3 of their salary unaccounted for. The region's looking to need to absorb those costs. People that are good examples of that would be the principal at the intermediate school, the nurse at the intermediate school, the librarian, the specialists. All those people have been completely abandoned and left as a regional issue. The supplies, professional development, any other costs associated with the intermediate school budget have been completely left behind. So when the 4th grade returns to Assawamsett, we will need to fund all their supplies out of the Assawamsett budget. We will need to fund the professional development for the staff out of the Assawamsett budget. We will be stretching those resources very, very thin. All overhead costs obviously associated with the building have been left behind, electricity, heat, et cetera. And so our total reduction from the Lakeville side of the budget, which is what we're talking about here tonight, K4, $564,518. Next one, Craig. But that doesn't get us to the $1 million we need to cut. So we still need to go into the staff at Assawamsett in order to be able to get to the 20%. And this is an overview on the whole without specifying which grade levels or which specialists might be affected. We'd be eliminated our half-time sped chairperson, a half-time secretary, 8 classroom teachers still with the 4th grade returning, 4.5 paraprofessionals, and a half-time custodian for a total of $481,084. So that's how you get to the $1,045,000. You add those two together, and you've now created a building of 700 children with a marked reduction in staff, including resource staff, support staff, as well as direct classroom teacher service. Next slide. And so we go from class sizes this year of 20 to 22, which are close to what you'd ideally want in a classroom, to class sizes ranging from 23, 26, and 31 at grades 2, 3, and 4, which we frankly find educationally unacceptable. And so some of the impacts, just to put a summary to it, obviously the large class size, teaching in classrooms of over 30 children makes it impossible to be effective. We will be looking at discipline issues, increased special education numbers, and just such a challenge to come close to the performance levels we're looking at today. The facility will be strained. Every nook and cranny will be utilized. Children could be in less than perfect spaces for sure. Certainly the reduction of the direct services in all areas. One of my main concerns is the special education population. We know going into next year that we're tight and coming close to not complying with the regulations. Certainly the support staff. I'll have 1 reading specialist for 700 children. I do not see that as an effective means to support children and help them to be successful. And certainly we can't not appreciate the 4th grade and all that they were gaining from being at the intermediate school, gaining from all of those resources, both personnel, facility, programming, et cetera. This is just an incredible step backwards. We are literally rolling the clock back 5 years. And our education is going to show that. There's no doubt about it.
Are you finished?
Mr. Moderator, I just want to add one thing to that. The override is essential for our school children. We must have at least a $1 million override, which would basically keep all the kids at Assawamsett, as Mrs. Hunter just presented, but would get class sizes down to the low 20s where it's acceptable. So I'll end with that. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have the lights on. Everyone return to the stage. And we are going to proceed to Council on Aging expenses hold. Pardon?
I have a comment on that.
I'm saying, we're returning
Okay. All right.
comment on what? On the education hold? Okay, hold on.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Okay, well, before I move on then, there are still someone who wishes to comment on the hold for K through 4. Please go ahead, identify yourself.
My name is Keiko Oral, Crooked Lane. As a former public school teacher, I appreciate what the public schools are trying to do. As Mr. Beneski asked the question before, the firefighters, the police, and the town employees have all kicked in. And their unions have said what they are willing to help with our financial crisis. Again, I'm asking the question, along with Mr. Beneski, what are the teachers' unions willing to do, and what are they willing to give as far as concessions?
Does anyone know?
I'd like to address that, Mr. Moderator.
That's fine. Who said that?
I did.
Mr. McQueen.
Okay. I heard a voice. Mr. McQueenie.
Yes. I am on the negotiating committee with the teachers, and as you all can appreciate, until there's a vote by the school committee on the proposed contract and the teachers, it's inappropriate to discuss it. But I can tell you this, I understand that a proposed teacher contract for the next 3 years was presented to the teachers today, and they will vote on Wednesday, as will the school committees in a joint meeting on Wednesday. I'm sorry we couldn't have done it before this meeting, and that's really all I can say about it. It is coming. You'll hear about it in the papers, and that's all we can talk about, because this is in the midst of negotiations. It's inappropriate to say anything other than that.
Thank you. Stay tuned. Mr. Marshall, are you going to make a comment?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Moderator, through you to the school committee, has the school, maybe I missed it, but has the school committee taken a vote, and if so, what is their position on either or both of the overrides?
We have not specifically taken a vote on the override. We have voted a budget, and the budget is in conformity with the amount of money that we have. The budget that we have voted is if you look down your 10% cut column, the $1 million override column, that budget, which is 4.7 something million, is the budget that we have voted, which will provide low 20s classroom sizes in Assawamsett. So that is the budget we have voted. We have voted to bring the 4th grade back from Grace, and it is that budget we voted is contingent upon the good people of Lakeville approving a $1 million override as a minimum. So that's where we stand there.
Okay, Mr. Moderator, just clarification. So did I hear Mr. McQueenie say then that you've taken a vote to support, well, through the budget number, to support the $1 million override?
You could infer that, yes. Look, I want to say the school committee originally voted a level-funded budget. So $5,228,013. That was untenable for the town. These are terrible times, and we debated long and hard and decided that we could live with a 10% cut, which is the $1 million, consistent with the $1 million override. So we have been working closely with the selectmen and the finance committee to keep our schools alive, if you will, especially the local school that we're in control of, or somewhat in control of. And so we're cooperating with them. But we really need a level budget to maintain things the way they are today, keep the 4th grade over there. But that's not in the cards. And it's not in the cards with a $1.7 million override either. So you could infer that we are clearly in favor of the $1 million override to get the $4.7 million. But I want to say this. The $1.7 million override, as Mr. Evers suggests, does give additional monies that we need at the school. We're packing 700 kids in there, and we don't have enough special education teachers, for example. So we will benefit additionally from a $1.7 million override, but the million is essential for the schools.
Thank you.
Mr. Ricciardi in Lakeville. I'm not against good school education, but I've been to several meetings, and I personally haven't seen that the school committee, any meeting that I've been to, and we're talking 2 or 3 months in the past, and you get the same answer. They're at a meeting, they can't tell you, they haven't decided. If they haven't decided now, I think it's intentional, personally. This should have been done before, about the union in paying for their health insurance. And on one other subject, which I've read, I don't know if Laurie Hunter wants to have any of those classrooms in the lunchroom she was talking about, you know, in her paper that I read. She didn't, but she'd have to make sure she didn't schedule the classes during lunchtime. And I read this in the paper. This is something she said. So I know she don't live in Lakeville, not that I'd hold that against her, But I personally see that the school committee in general, I personally don't have any kids in the school system, but I really don't see that they have any intention of making any cuts, unlike the police and the fire and so on. So I'm negative when it comes to, unfortunately, I get a negative attitude because I've been to meetings and I don't see any input from them except they're looking for their own interests. I think our school committee system, because I've had some kids in there, it's a good system, but I think they're getting plenty and they're not making any sacrifices. That's all I have.
Sir, please identify yourself.
Yes, John Padley. It's often difficult for a voter to make a decision on student-teacher ratios. So I attempted to go online to determine the ratio. I see the numbers by Laurie Hunter, but I also went on two websites, one being the Freetown Lakeville Public School website, and one going on the localschooldirectory.com website, which lists Lakeville schools. So I first went on the local school directory, and it said that the student-teacher ratio was 14.9 to 1. I said, that can't be right, because all I read in the paper is it's 20, 21, 22, and it's going to go over to 30. I then went to the Freetown Lakeville website and simply added the teachers and divided them by the students. I did not include special education. I did not include support staff. I did not include paraprofessionals, which obviously was the bulk of a lot of the numbers. That gave me a number of 16.1, not 21, not 22. I think that we should perhaps better explain on our website how we arrive at those numbers. I understand Laurie's presentation to us, but it would be much simpler if we simply divided the teachers into the students, so we could make an informed decision on that. So that I, for one, have two published reports that say it's much different than that.
Before you go on to another statement,
Yep.
could Mrs. Hunter address that
Sure.
question that you just popped up as to why the numbers are different from what she's posting?
If you do direct teacher-student ratio, you're not accounting for how children need to be serviced. Most of the children, a huge percentage of the children, it's 86% of them at Assawamsett, are in a regular education classroom with one teacher. Those who qualify and need extra supports need them because they can't function in those classrooms as successfully. They need individual, they need small group instruction, they need the assistance of a paraprofessional perhaps in the room. It's not a straight one-for-one and a straight division process. It can't be. It's not going to work that way because children have different needs and we need to meet them differently.
Thank you. Would you get to the second part of your question?
Yeah, just as a little bit of a rebuttal to Laurie's, I did not include special ed support staff and paraprofessionals.
Okay.
So the number is much different. I think the website should explain that and show the numbers.
Well.
The other one is that once again, I'd be the third party to say, thank the police and fire and the public officials to take wage cuts. The selectmen took the biggest wage cut on a percentage basis. Once again, what's the wage cut, all the wage free is going to be for the teachers? I understand we're going to hear it next week or the week after, but we're voting tonight. I would once again vote for the smaller budgeted number and not an override. Thank you very much.
Thank you. On this side, please identify yourself.
Joseph Batacola, 23 Long Point Road. What I'd like to know is, what's the difference if we got the fourth graders there? Now we only have the third, 1, 2, 3, and 4, no fourth. Well, who's paying for them to be over here at the other school?
You are.
Right?
Of the $5.2 million that's this year's budget, $900,000 of that pays for the children at the intermediate school. 400-some thousand of that are salaries. The other 564,000 are the things that I listed above, the staff that we aren't going to support anymore, the supplies, the professional development, the overhead. So right now, it's in the budget of $5.2 million that is currently what we're operating under.
All right, now you says, you did a real good job up there.
Thank you.
But I'd like to know, what's the difference if you bring the fourth graders there, or if you don't have the fourth graders? The electric bill's gonna be the same.
Well, we're paying right now for 2 buildings of electricity, so that's where the difference comes. We're not going to pay for the intermediate school from here on if the 4th grade's at Assawamsa.
You have a whole lot of expenses that you are paying twice.
Twice.
And now you will only be paying
Now, are we
once.
gonna have enough, is that building big enough to take care of 700 children?
Well, that was going to be my next point. This is where the space piece comes in, because there's no great solution here, even with the passing of an override in terms of space. Class size and effective instruction, absolutely. If we can get class sizes down to 22 and maintain that, absolutely we are servicing the children to the best of our abilities instructionally with this budget configuration. The problem is, we still have a space issue if we save all the teachers. So it becomes this conundrum. If we go to a 20% cut, we have plenty of space because all the kids are crowded into large class sizes, not needing as much room. That is far more detrimental to them than a space problem, where that's where the cafeteria part comes in. Because if we were to pass a 10% cut, which is the $1 million override or better, we would maintain the staff at Assawamsa, and yes, then space is an issue. And one of the classrooms would need to go into the cafeteria.
Okay.
No, one more.
One more.
What happened if we were regionalized? If we were this, I know this is a touchy subject, but you don't live in town to pay the taxes.
I think I'm going to have to intervene there, okay? Simply because the Regionalization Committee is meeting. They've been meeting for a long time. It's a completely different issue, and if they said it's golden, it's not going to make a difference on what's going to happen this evening or what's going to happen in town for the next 2 years. So I'm not going to allow that question. Okay?
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak?
David Goodfellow, 29 Baker Lane, member of the Lakeville School Committee. At 29 Baker Lane, I live in town. Yeah, you got it.
You don't have to give your address. All you have to do is say who you are.
29 Baker
The
Lane,
rest is
Lakeville,
optional.
Massachusetts, 02347. I'd just like to just make a few comments to acknowledge some comments that were made previous. The Lakeville School Committee has been tasked with creating a budget, and we've made budgets everything from a level service, level funded, down to 27% reduction, which would be somewhere around net school spending. And what our job is to demonstrate what each of those budget scenarios would represent, and exactly how the educators, who are the paid professionals, would allocate those funds. So to say, to even insinuate that the Lakeville School Committee would somehow be responsible for taking some sort of hit and some sort of suffering, I think is inappropriate. What we do is we make the budget and present it to the townspeople and demonstrate how those funds would be spent. It is up to the townspeople to take the hit. It's up to the townspeople to decide just how much harm is done to the school system or just how much good is done to the school system. So the school committee, it's not within our purview to be making those decisions. So all we do is we come here, we do our very best to show you how those funds would be expended, how they would be expended in the best interests of the clients, which are our children who go to that school. And I honestly think that if you had school committee members that weren't earnestly endeavoring to look out for the best interests of the children who go to those schools, you wouldn't want me on the school committee. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator?
I'm going to move on. Okay, you want to comment on the schools too?
If I could, please.
Go.
One
further comment, maybe it'll help ease some concerns. I'm also a member of the negotiating team with Mr. McQuarrie. However, we can't divulge, or we can't talk about the tentative agreement. What you have in here for a budget for the school teachers, it extends their current contract as it is right now, which means it does not include raises. If there's any monetary change as a result of the contract that is presented to the teachers at this point, just like we came back last year with the police department and the fire department, after town meeting, we'll come back again to discuss any monetary changes to the budget as a result of the contract negotiations with the teachers.
Thank you. I'm moving off the school hold. Okay? All right. Council on Aging expenses had a hold. Anybody wish to talk to it? No. Okay. Next hold I had is library personnel. Mr. Markson?
I want to inquire as to the effect on our library services in the event the overrides were not to be passed and we budget according to these numbers. Does that mean that our library would be decertified?
Anyone wish to answer that?
It would be in jeopardy of being decertified, but as happening with a lot of towns across the state, you can apply for a waiver, and that's what we intend to, if that budget was to pass, we would apply for a waiver from the state, and we've been led to believe that we would have a good chance of getting it because we're not cutting the library any more than anyone else. The reason that they don't grant waivers usually is if you cut your library by 20% and you only cut everybody else by 10. So because we've made our cuts evenly across the board, we would probably most likely qualify for a waiver.
My concern is that in the event that there is not enough money to provide for the schools in the way that we would wish to, it's going to become more critical than ever that we have the services of our library where the children could acquire books and perhaps with some volunteer services by some of the good people in town, they could be assisted in their learning through the library.
I agree, and we also have a group called Friends of the Library, which is stepping up to the plate to help out with fundings too, as far as funding new books and chipping in a little bit more. They plan on doing some fundraisers in this year coming up.
So then I hear that you think that in the event that because we're funding at the same rate or cutting at the same rate, that we would be likely to get a waiver.
Well, the services, I mean, you'd get away. Just decertification would not mean that your services would totally go away. There are other things like we're mandated to buy so many books every year. There's a lot of things that go to certification. I think our library will still be functioning, and I think it will still be functioning at a decent level. I just think it's not to the level of certification as are other libraries in the area.
Would we still be receiving the services of sales?
Well, that's what the waiver would let you still do that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else wish to speak on the library? Yes.
I'm Ruth Gross, 2 Mullen Hill Drive. I'm the chairman of the Board of Trustees for the Lakeville Library. I just want to explain that the library certification includes our combination within the sales system. And if we are decertified, as some libraries have been, our library will remain open, but we won't have any other connection within the system within the region. However, the state has said that they are going to grant just so many waivers. So we may get a waiver, we may not. We definitely will not get a waiver if there's a different percentage from the library cut than from other town offices. And we appreciate the fact that our selectmen and FinCom have understood that and supported us But also the state, in order to certify, has a certain bottom line that the town has to uphold. It can't come from donations. It can't come from even the Friends of the Library. So unless we have a waiver, we have to uphold these. And everybody needs to understand that the library, the schools, anything that has a state certification has a requirement. And there's no varying on that. So it's the extra that makes Lakeville the town it is that we're voting on. But the bottom line has to be upheld either way. Thank you.
Can I follow up, Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
All right, I just want to apologize to Mr. Markson because I did not realize that the waiver didn't allow you to still be part of sales. Are you sure of that?
Oh, the waiver would allow us to still be part of sales.
Okay, all right.
If
Okay, I
the
thought I
waiver
misspoke.
is not granted or if we're decertified,
Okay.
that means we're
I
not
take
in
my
sales.
apology back, Mr.
But-
Markson.
We will still have a library locally.
Yeah, but...
But you're saying it's up in the air whether or not we are certified or not certified.
We can't tell you that until we
Right.
have something to present to the state.
In your expert opinion, Mrs. Gross, what do you believe the likelihood is that in the worst-case scenario that the override were not to be approved and the budget is funded the way it is on the paper, that we would receive a waiver?
I have no idea how many towns in the state have applied for waivers. The state has said that they will place a limit on it, so it's first come, first served, and I have no knowledge of that, so.
There's no way you're going to get her to tell you
There's no
something she
guess
doesn't know.
that-
Well, okay.
So,
Well, there's people telling us what they don't know all the time. They're
I
called
know it, I know it.
politicians.
Isn't it refreshing that someone actually says they don't know and sticks by it? Yes.
Hi, I'm Faith Moynihan, 2 Little Farm Road. For those of you who have high schoolers and are on the fence about the override, I just want to remind you, we don't always do a great job of letting people know what things are eliminated on a school level, even though it might not be a dollar cut. There are programs that are eliminated. One of the things eliminated on the high school level is students can no longer go after school to use library services because a position was eliminated last year. So those of us who have high schoolers, you can't use the library afterwards. You have to go to the Lakeville Library. So losing certification in sales would be extremely detrimental to our high school students. And you have to keep in mind that once they do everything in Lakeville, there will be an impact on region. And while you may not see a lot of dollars cut, there are a lot of cuts being made from retirements that aren't being replaced. So there are sacrifices being made in the school level, even though you might not hear about it or see it. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on. The last item was library expenses. I assume you put a hold on both. Is that?
Same argument.
Okay. Seeing no one is going to comment further on the library, it was the last hold, unless someone can correct me. Therefore, it is time to pass or defeat Article 2. Article 2 must be passed by a 2/3 vote, and therefore we are going to count. Okay?
Point of information.
Yes, Mr. Marshall.
Which article or which budget are we voting on? The
You are voting on
non-contingent?
all three. You are voting on the budget that is balanced. You are voting on the budget that is $1 million override if it passes.
Gotcha.
And
Thank
you're
you.
voting on the 1.7 if it passes. Okay? You have a comment on the entire budget, sir?
Yes, it's a follow-up to that question, and that is, if you do not want an override...
Then you go in July and vote against it.
There is no option tonight to vote
No.
against an override.
You're not voting on the override, period. You're voting on a budget if the override passed or not. So your job, if you don't want the override, is to show up in July. It has nothing to do with this. What this does is allocate funds should the overrides pass.
It seems as though, and my ignorance, I apologize for it, but in the past it seems as though there have been separate town meeting votes as to whether an override goes to the ballot.
No. According to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts general laws, the only people that can call an override vote are the selectmen, and they did.
Okay.
So July is your chance.
Point of information, please,
Yes.
Mr. Moderator. Let me understand how the override vote will be working. There are 3 choices on the ballot, is that correct?
2, you will vote for the $1 million override, yes or no. You will vote for the $1.7 million override, yes or no.
I see. Thank you.
Okay. And you can vote no twice, and you can vote yes twice. Okay, we are going to go to the vote. The vote is 2/3. Counters, we're going to need you to count. All in favor of Article 2, and it's a 2/3 vote. Please raise your cards. Counters, please count. Thank you.
$81.
81. 75. 98. Thank you. You may put all your cards down for a second. Joe, do you have a count?
He's slick.
That makes sense. Do you have a count yet, Joe?
Right there.
Oh, he's right by there.
He's right there.
Thank you. 153. All opposed to the budget, to Article 2, please raise your cards. Counters, please count. Five, thank you.
0.
0, thank you. Thank you. 0. Thank you. What you got, Joe?
0.
Thank you. 0. The vote is 477 to 5. The budget and Article 2 passes by 2/3 vote.
This is the largest town meeting we've ever had.
Yeah,
I like it. We almost hit 500 for voting.
Article 3.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate for the use of the trustees for the County Cooperative Extension Service the sum of $200 and to set the length of the term of the town director at 1 year as provided in Mass General Laws, Chapter 128, Section 41 and 42.
Do I hear a second? Do I hear a second? I do hear a second. Thank you. Would you care to speak to it, Mr. Maxey?
Mr. Moderator, this is more of a housekeeping issue. This keeps us in the Plymouth County Board of Directors, and for $200, it is definitely well worth it for the town.
Thank you. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends approval.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to ask a question or make a comment? I see no trucking to the microphones. This is a majority vote. All in favor of Article 3, raise your cards. Thank you. You may put them down. All opposed, please raise your cards. I see no opposition here. What have you got, Joe? I'm sorry? What is your total? It's easier to talk in human.
Mr. Moderator, how many people are out there? Oh, wow. Yes, still?
No opposition.
You need I really should get a runner. Wouldn't somebody offer to run?
I declare Article 3 to have passed by majority vote.
We do have a lot of empty seats now that many people have left. Maybe we can invite some people from the cafeteria
It may
in.
be worth a shot. Hold on.
Maybe to get auction them off and raise money for the town.
Yeah, see what you can do.
I'll say there's probably room for 50.
Article 4.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $642,465 as the share of the town of Lakeville in the Plymouth County Retirement Association.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been made and seconded. Would you care to speak to it?
This is merely our share that we must pay to fund our retirees for the town if we do take a discount because we paid in one lump sum at the beginning of the fiscal year.
Thank you. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends approval.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to speak to this article? I see no one here speaking to it. It's a majority vote. All in favor of Article 4, please raise your cards. Thank you. You may put them down. All opposed to Article 4, please raise your cards. I see no cards. Hold on.
They were all moving while we were talking. Our majority took it. Doesn't matter.
There was no opposition in the other room as well, so I declare that this is passed by unanimous vote. Article 5.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $659,109 as the town's share of the 2009-2010 maintenance and operating budget for Old Colony Regional Vocational High School District, to be used in conjunction with an appropriation for the same purpose by the towns of Acushnet, Carver, Mattapoisett, and Rochester.
Thank you. I hear a second. Would you care to comment on it, Mr. Marshall?
It is what it is.
That's my line. Finance Committee have a recommendation.
Finance Committee recommends approval.
Thank you. Are you ready to work on it is what it is?
And it is what it is.
Majority vote. All in favor of Article 5, please raise your cards. Thank you. You may put them down. All opposed to Article 5, please raise your cards. I see no opposition. I will check. I hear a voice. There is no opposition. I declare it unanimously passed. Article 5. I'm 6.
Good evening, Mr. Moderator.
Good evening.
Lorraine Carboni, member of the Freetown Lakeville Regional School District. I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $6,793,181.75 as the town's share of the 2009-2010 maintenance and operating budget for the Freetown Lakeville Regional School District, consisting of the non-excluded debt assessment of $46,507.05, the excluded debt assessment of $759,836.71, and the operating cost assessment of $5,986,837.99 to be used in conjunction with an appropriation for the same purpose by the town of Freetown and to take any action relative thereto.
Thank you. May I have a copy?
You need to amend it.
Yeah, I'm going to amend it with
Do I hear a second? Second. You care to speak to it?
Yes, Mr. Moderator, this is the state's assessment to the town of Lakeville for the regional school district.
The Finance Committee have a recommendation.
Mr. Moderator, I'd like to propose an amendment. I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $6,596,763 as the town share of the 2009-2010 maintenance and operating budget for the Freetown Lakeville Regional School District, consisting of the non-excluded debt assessment of $46,508.05, the excluded debt assessment of $759,837, the operating cost assessment of $5,630,419, and the transportation assessment of $159,999 to be used in conjunction with an appropriation for the same purpose by the town of Freetown.
Do I hear a second to the amendment? Before I even get into this, that is a reduction, is it not?
It is a reduction of...
It is a reduction of how much?
$196,000.
$196,000.
420, excuse me.
I'm sorry?
$196,420.
And I assume the Finance Committee is endorsing that one. Would you care to speak to your article?
Yes, I would.
Wait a minute, we're speaking on the amendment, I'm sorry. Would you care to speak about the reduction he has just made?
Yes, right now, Freetown has already gone and voted at their town meeting for their portion of the regional school budget. If this amendment goes through, we will not have a balanced budget. This will then go back to the regional school committee. If they do not vote for the reduction, which would be a reduction also for the assessment to Freetown, then we would be heading to a joint town meeting. At this point, if I may, I'd like to turn the microphone over to our interim superintendent.
Mr. Rodrigues?
Lou Rodrigues, interim superintendent, director of business, and anything else that they can think of. I'd like to just explain to everyone that we're not oblivious to the fact that there are issues and problems amongst the towns. Our problem with this is that you're going to lower our transportation budget by $196,000. And as Mrs. Carboni already stated, Freetown has already voted for this. They voted their $150,000 allocation, which in total, if we lose $346,000, which is what would happen if we had to grant an abatement, let's say, to Freetown, what we're talking about doing is losing people, and I'm not about to lose educators. The cuts would have to come from somewhere else. At this stage of the game, you've got a House and Senate conference committee that's going to be coming out of their conference committee probably by the end of this week. They've already determined, and we built our budget based on lowered Chapter 70 funds, lowered transportation funds. We got our transportation cut by the Senate by approximately half. It went from 85% down to 42%. That's what I based our budget on. There are some that would say, well, you shouldn't have based it on such a low conservative number. Well, there are also some that would say you should have based it on the governor's number. That's fictitious. Everyone knows that. His number was something like 60 or 75%. That would not work. These are your children. We have to transport them. We must transport them. That's the law. And we can't charge. Because what happens if you start charging children in a region, you then don't get your reimbursement. And as your reimbursement goes down, it's a spiraling staircase all the way down. So we cannot charge the way other school departments can if they're not a region. That's why when you read in the paper, oh, we're charging in Wareham, they are not a region. Okay, regions cannot do that. At this point, you would be voting a scenario that would require us to go to a town meeting, a joint town meeting in the middle of the summer.
Yep.
I don't know if that's acceptable to you, but I don't find that acceptable at all. For $196,000, I think what you're talking about is, under both budgets, currently being jointly conferenced by the state legislature, all Massachusetts school systems will have to contend with decreased Chapter 70 aid and diminished special ed circuit breaker funding, and both houses further propose forcing regionalized schools to scramble in order to fill up the holes left in their budgets by drastically reducing transportation offsets. Their scrambling is going to be all the more difficult because most regional school districts had to submit their budgets to their constituent communities back in March, and at this time, their local revenue assessments have already been set at annual town meeting. Well, I know of one local region in this area that did set their transportation budget according to the governor's numbers, and now they're scrambling. They're down about $200,000, and they have to do layoffs. If we do it now, our deadline for giving notices to folks is today. I would then have to go back and start laying people off at a time when we have not given any notices out. Now, everything is subject to appropriation, and I understand that, but I will not lay off teachers. If it has to happen, it'll be from the coaching ranks, and we already had a discussion with the MIIA that those things can be dealt with through a user fee. I don't know about you, but I don't really enjoy heaping more user fees on families and kids. We've already got that. So you're going to heap more onto your children. We're also going to be cutting student activities if this goes through. I will not cut teachers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
FinCom first.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
If we vote this tonight, it doesn't necessarily mean that we'd have to go to a joint town meeting. Freetown, being in the financial constraints that Lakeville is, would probably welcome something like this. We are just putting in the transportation budget that the governor had proposed, and by the deadline that the regional school committee should have had the budget to the town of Lakeville, which is March 31st. So at that time, there's no other number to use for the transportation budget.
Yes, Nancy.
The region has kind of backed themselves into this. They were supposed to have presented, and it's April 30th, I found out, Steve. They were supposed to have presented a certified budget to the town by April 30th. We did not get it until last Monday night, and we still didn't get it. They gave us Freetown's by mistake, and it wasn't dated. We had to ask them to put a date on it. We would not have to go to a town meeting because they could lower our assessment. A question that I have is, what percentage cut is the region taking? We're looking at our local school right now taking a 20% hit. And if anybody reads the papers, they know that I've been asking for money back from the region who's not taking that kind of a hit. It's all of our same children. We're looking at Assawamsett School taking a 20% hit, and I'm not really seeing the region taking any kind of a hit. And we need to have the region up here and Assawamsett School down here. We need to get those more in line. So by us holding back this transportation money, which actually we're being more generous with the region than they're being with us, because we were told when we called the Department of Education that we didn't have to fund the transportation at all, and we are giving them $159,999. So I feel that that's fair on our part. I think the region has the money to absorb it, and I think it's almost their obligation to help us out on the local level, because they don't seem to be suffering the cuts that we're looking at Assawamsett School.
Mr. Roderick, before I get to you, this gentleman's been standing here for a while, so I'm going to ask him to give his...
Okay,
You have the
Leo
floor.
DuBois. I acquired a copy of the regional budget a few weeks ago, and I noticed it had some pretty substantial raises for some of the personnel in there. It was mostly the management level type people. I see police and fire have stepped up to the plate to take a cut. Now, I don't know how accurate this budget I get, or it's a final thing, or anything, but I think we're all taking a beating. I have several friends that are unemployed, people that are underemployed, that are losing their houses, they can't pay their mortgages, and I think we ought to at least not have raises for people. And you mentioned about the transportation. Is the amount of money you're appropriating current to keep the number of buses and stuff operating that we have? If we have less buses, I don't know, would we be able to still transport the students? And, but I'm asking about the raises too, and we're all taking a beating in this troubled times. And at the rate the government's printing money, I'm afraid we're going to turn into the Weimar Republic, the rate we're going. So anyway, I guess just some questions.
I'm going to try and direct the questions to the appropriate people.
Okay.
And we won't worry about what happened to the Weimar Republic.
It wasn't good.
It wasn't good. Take it from a history teacher.
Yeah, I'm a student of history, too. So.
All right, you have several questions. Some came from the selectman, some came from him. Ball's in your court.
As far as the contract for our region with the bus company, that's been set. That is a contract. As far as delivering kids and being able to cut, one of our problems with this entire system, not just the region, but Freetown and Lakeville, is that we are not a full region. I can give you examples of kids who are standing on a corner when a bus goes right by them. But for purposes of budget, for purposes of insurance, you can't pick that child up because one of them might be from Lakeville and the bus is from Freetown. So that is one reason why we can't consolidate an awful lot of these runs. As far as the $700,000, let's look at that. You wanted $700,000 of R&D. I don't blame you. We needed that to make our budget whole. If we gave you $700,000, what would happen to our budget? We would be cutting, you're right, we would feel a lot of pain. We've already cut $990,000 from our budget that was proposed. If this goes through, it's another $346,000. Now we're up to $1.3 million, which is approximately what we have lost over the last 3 or 4 years that I've been here of additional contribution from both towns. I'm not saying that you couldn't use that money, but right now, you're not voting on our budget. You're not voting on our budget at all. You're voting on the minimum assessment set forth by the state. Now, you can say what you will about the transportation and whether or not you're giving us enough. You still have to carry those kids to school. The state is only going to give us 42% reimbursement. By the agreement that you all are supposed to abide by, the towns have to make up the difference. No, I suppose you don't have to give us that money. But morally, I think you're obligated to do that. I frankly think it's immoral what you're doing at the last minute. You've had our budget
No.
You've had our budget, and it was in the warrant. It's in the warrant tonight. Now, you say the budget, the overall budget, should have been done by March 31st.
April 30th.
Wait a minute. March 31st is the overall budget. April 30th is the certified amount for your assessment. True, we didn't make those deadlines. But you want to know something? I've looked up. You didn't make it a hell of a lot of years. Many years. You never made it. Were those illegal? I'd like to know. I also would like to know, right here and now, you put into your budget certified free cash. What year? What year is your certified free cash at? Is that 07, 06, 08? Which year is it certified at? When I go on the site for the DOR, it says 07. I had to have my E&D certified this past year, which gives you an indication of where the region is. We have no such indication from the town. Where's your indicator?
Lou, I'm going to cut you short on this because
That's fine.
You've tried to answer what she said relative to the dates, but when we start going on to free cash, we've kind of gone beyond what we're supposed to be doing. Okay? And I also want to know when anyone asks any questions now, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I want to know new information or new questions. Okay? And we're talking about the amendment. We're not talking about the original motion. And the amendment is to cut the budget as proposed by $196,420. Sir, do you have anything further to add? No. He's been waiting, and then I'll come back up here. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Carl Purse from Hill Street. I find this just, I perfectly agree with the amendment. In one sense, I'd almost wish there was more, only because I feel like the region needs to share the burden. If they're not going to share the burden, then how can we, even I as a taxpayer, feel good about an override or, cutting other budgets when they won't do that? And so I'm in favor of it. I feel like the region needs to feel the pain like everybody else, share the pain, because that is what is morally correct to do. Thank you.
Mr. Maxey.
Mr. Moderator, the interim superintendent actually asked what certification date for free cash was, and it was actually for 2008.
I haven't ruled that out.
Okay. They just asked me.
No, we're not going to go there.
I did want to, the question the first gentleman asked about the salaries, and I can assure you that sheets have not changed from 2 weeks ago till last Monday. The number that was in there is still in there. The increases will still be in there. So I just wanted to clear that up because I don't think you got a correct answer on that. The other thing is the regional school committee, the regional school has an E&D, excess and deficiency fund, and it's been upwards of $1.2 million. They have the money to make this work, and they cannot stop the transportation. They just may have to go into their stabilization E&D fund to get the money, and I know they'll do that. It's there for them to use it. We cannot dictate where they get the money from, but they have it. And we feel, I believe as a board, that everyone needs to feel the pain. And out of a $22 million budget, $196,000 is not much pain.
I'm going to do him and then you, okay?
Hi, good evening. Scott Sweet. My question is to the board and to the Finance Committee. The E&D account is the excess and deficiency, which allows them to keep 5% of their budget and to carry it over into the next year. No other department can do that in the town, can they?
Well, it's not really in the town. You see, the region is a separate
No, I understand that, but no other
entity.
governmental budget can keep that money. They have to turn it back at the end of the year into free cash, correct? So I find this criminal, and said with an air of arrogance, that they say that they're not going to help out the town. When we have to lay off teachers at the elementary school, Kids have to be bused back from the 4th grade. It's insane. And if anything should happen, this amendment should be passed. They have the funding mechanism to cover it, and it needs to be done tonight.
I'm not sure where I should start. With regards to the E&D, I just need to clarify something. Yes, we do have a certified amount of money in our E&D account. We have, through this budget process, allocated $700,000 of that money to fund our budget for 2010, leaving us with roughly about $400,000 in our E&D account. That's all the region has to survive for the 2010 school year. I think it's very unfortunate for all of us right now, the position that we're in. The state did increase the assessments to the towns, and it has certainly put us in a very awkward position, especially from the region. To put school against school is horrible. I don't know what the answer is with regards to, fully regionalizing, but we're in the situation that we're in right now. But my question on the amendment, what was the plan for the town for that $196,000?
I don't think that it's necessary that they do that, since you can't be cutting a line item. You just deal in large amounts of money. I don't believe that you can. They can't cut a line item on your budget, and they're not going to give you the cut to your budget. Am I correct, Town Council? You can't dictate an individual place. I think that's what your question was. You wanted to know what line item was going to be cut by 190?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My question was that, if we're reducing, or if the request is to reduce the assessment for transportation at the region, I'm just curious where this money would be used, where would it go? What's it going to be used for?
Oh, in other words, if you're going to take the money away, they'd have a purpose for it.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, as you can see on the balanced budget, it's about a 20% cut across the board. So the $196,000 doesn't really go far. It's all spread within the budget itself. It's a little bit. It's not a lot of money to make a big impact, but that's where the money went.
Spread out throughout the budget. Chuck, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand up.
One comment about revenues and where they find the money or where they don't find the money, and not to feel sorry for them, because I don't. But last year, they had a earned interest line item of approximately $27,000 that they earned interest on some monies that were put aside. That this year they're showing $100,000 of earned interest. So that's a lot of money somewhere that's set aside earning interest. Wednesday night we asked the representative from the Regional School Committee to explain where that $100,000 and where is that money invested, or how much is that returning, and I'd like to have that answer.
That's the accumulation of the funds that we have in our bank, Unibank, from the various different funds. We are allowed to carry, and by the way, I'm going on actuals as we're going on right now. Currently, as we see our interest income, it's approximately $85,000. I'm hoping that interest rates will go up a little bit next year. That's where that $100,000 is coming from. To answer the other question from the gentleman, I would like to clarify, yes, we are allowed to carry up to 5%. This year it was $1.2 million. Out of the $1.2 million, we're using $700,000 in next year's budget. You're right. No other department can do that. But those departments are a part of the town, which can do that. So the town can carry their 5% and then allocate it to everyone else except the region. Because the region, realistically, is its own town. We need to have our own resources, because we cannot come back. We can't come back during the year and ask you for any other money. So we need those resources We need the backup of the funds that you're talking about where we gain the interest. If we don't have that, suddenly, as of July 1st, we could be running dry. We don't make our debt payments because we don't always get everything on time. You know, there's always that lag time from the state, from any number of sources. So I hope that answers that.
Sir.
Thank you. Eric Madsen, Old Powder House Road. I have one question for you, Lou. So the people in this room can understand the percentages. I work a little better in percentages myself. Can you tell us what percentages the regional school system has had in cuts for this coming school year?
Well, you know, we've had a level budget for the last 2 years. All you're voting on right now is the minimum contribution, the lowest possible amount that includes the minimum set by the state, your debt, which you have to pay, and the transportation, which is part of a contract. We have a contract. Look, do we have some money? Yeah, but right now, if we use our $700,000 just to maintain next year, which we did this year, just to keep a level funded budget, I can assure you that if we don't have that kind of money, you're going to see devastation on a scale that these folks don't realize.
So excuse me. Everybody in this room directs a question to me, and then I direct the question to somebody else. And we don't start this jeering. Doesn't happen here. Now, I'm going to ask the question that he asked, and that is, you've talked about a level funded budget, but you didn't indicate that there was any kind of a percentage of cut over the previous year. That's what he's asking.
Right, and no, there is no cut. Okay, not compared to this year's budget. And that's because we're using our E&D. $700,000.
That's the $700,000. Okay. Thank you. I know that, but I've got these people who've been waiting way before you, so they're going to get their chance in court, and then I'll go back to the Finance Committee. Yes.
Hi, Faith Moynihan again, 2 Little Farm Road. I'd just like to speak a little bit on this. I started coming to the meetings, and I'm a little off topic. I apologize, but I came throughout this year to school committee meetings because when I was at town meeting last year, all I heard about was how Region was a big black hole where all the money went. Now, you're all sitting here and you're saying, what's the percentage cut? It's a level funded budget. That means the dollars are the same, but the services are declining. So if you think we haven't felt pain on the region level, you're wrong. We had library staff cut at the high school last year. There will be no French program at the middle school, 6th through 8th grade, starting next year. We will be losing 2 5th grade teachers at the intermediate school, a school adjustment counselor, and a world language teacher. So do we feel the pain? Absolutely. Is it a percentage cut in the budget? No, because it's a level funded budget. But your children who are on the region are losing services. The E&D funds that are out there, take that $700,000, there's your percentage. Because every year we use E&D, and it's gone, is just a postponement of the hurt that the Lakeville side is feeling now. That money will run out. If the town's asking us to eliminate $196,000 in transportation, that money would have to come from E&D potentially. You've just reduced an offset to help postpone another year. We have felt cuts at the region. It might not be a percent, which is what you want to hear, but your children have lost services, and class sizes will go up. The gentleman who spoke about the salary increases on the budget that's online for region, I'd highly recommend that you all go on the region, look at the region budget, and look at the dollars that have been cut there. Most of the salaries that have gone are due to retirements that are not being replaced. We don't speak enough on the region level to let people know we do hurt. You don't see it because it's not a percent. It's a loss in services. It's a level funded budget.
Thank you.
And again, that 196, I know you're saying it's spread all throughout, but where's the highest percentage going so that I can make a reasonable vote on it?
Does the Finance Committee have an answer to that question? Because I have these other three people who wanted to talk.
No, I had another subject I wanted to talk.
Well, do you have an answer to her question?
Where the 196...
Where the bulk of it's going? You don't know?
No, I don't.
Okay.
It's spread out.
It was part of the total funds that we had and divvied up totally within the gross, excuse me. I'm sorry, those funds were put into our pot of money that we had to operate with. And so we didn't say, well, from the 196, we're going to take $10 and put it here. We went through to try to balance our budget, if that explains it.
It's as good as it's going to get, because their answer is it's spread throughout the entire budget and there's no specific place where any bulk of it is going.
Is the 196 included in the budget that I just voted on as a reduction? Are you using the 196?
Yes.
So you put this amendment on the table, already having put the 196 in your budget?
It's what we're in part of the amendment.
So this would be for the amendment. So now
Yes.
we just voted on 3 potential budgets. Am I hearing this correct?
Well, don't forget, you've got to separate, if you will, the regional budget from the local
So the
budget.
assessment is separate?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to call the question, and let's vote this amendment up or down.
I can't do that quite yet, but if you want to get into the back of the second person in line, I had promised the Finance Committee to talk after you.
Okay, but I thought if someone calls a question, they have to put a vote
No,
into that.
not unless I say so. No, stay here, but wait your turn, because I've promised these people, he, and the Finance Committee, a chance. When they have spoken, I'll take your motion. You, Mr. McQueenie, then that gentleman, then Mr. Olivier.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I want to address a question to particularly Ms. Yates. She has been very vocal over the last several months in asking for a reduction in the assessment from the region. And she said over and over and over that if the region assessment was reduced, that money would go directly to the local schools. I don't believe that's happening in what we're seeing happening right now. This $196,000 won't affect the non-contingency budget we just voted on for the schools. So what now?
Make it brief, Nancy.
Through the moderator, sorry.
Yeah, make
Okay.
it brief, please.
Okay. The money that I was asking for back, this year Lakeville's net school spending figure was increased by $390,000 to the region. And we had, I never can get it straight whether we had one less or one more. One less student, okay? So one less student at the region, and our assessment went up $390,000, which is part of the reason that we're in the shape we're in right now. That's the money I've been asking for back. And I did say if we got that back, I would push my hardest to have that, and I think we all agreed that that money, that $390,000, would go back to the elementary school. That was the deal. That didn't happen. That did not happen. It was voted down. And you're right, I went to meeting after meeting after meeting trying to get that money back, and it did not happen. This is a different pot of money that we're taking right now, and there were no promises behind this that it would go. We've distributed it across the board.
Thank you.
Hi, Rob Powers, Bedford Street. I just have a couple quick questions for clarification. It was mentioned earlier that, and correct me if I'm wrong, it'll be even quicker. The money that we're talking about right now for the assessment in the amendment has already been allocated in the budget we voted on for Article 2?
No.
Because I feel like that's what the finance.
That's
committee
what it was felt you said, Mr. Olivier. No?
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
It is. So
It
the
is,
money we,
okay.
so in Article 2, we appropriated money that we haven't yet figured out in Article 6. So what would happen if we were to approve the amendment, or I'm sorry, if the amendment fails and we allocate that money to the assessment, what happens to the sum that we approved in Article 2?
We'd have to take money from other departments and move it into the...
I'm just a little bit confused.
They're saying they have to reduce it.
Because I feel like, I mean, whether or not you agree with the assessment for the region, that's an entirely different issue, but I'm concerned when you know, in the special town meeting, we've got a great water tower to sell you in Article 18, so this is why you should think about the money now. But when a lot of people on that table don't agree with funding the assessment, we're not going to tell you that we already approved that money. So I feel like you're putting some people in a pinch. Even if you disagree with the assessment, I don't think that was very adequately communicated to everybody here.
Thank you. Mr. Olivier has the last chance, and then it's going to you.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Let me put it into a perspective as far as the money goes when it comes to the region. Yes, they are at net school spending, but for the last 3 years, they've used $700,000, $600,000 of E&D money towards the next year's budget, and they somehow get recertified with 1.1 or 1.2 million, the 5% that they're allowed to keep every year. So that tells me that they are taking in more money than it costs to run the region. They also spend 5%, which they're allowed to prepay for goods and services towards the next fiscal year. So that's another $1 million. So that tells me that they're running about $2 million over what they need to run that school in any given year.
Thank you. Now I'll entertain your motion.
Please.
Now, we can do it two ways. Either I can take your motion to call the question, or if there's nobody here, we don't even have to go through it. Nobody's here. Good. So we won't even do that. What we'll do is go to the original amendment, okay? And the amendment is to essentially cut the Article 6 by $196,420. This is a majority vote. All in favor of the amendment, please raise your cards. Thank you. You may lower them. All opposed to the amendment, please raise your cards. I'm going to have a count. Okay, we're going to do it again. Counters, are you ready?
Yes.
It's like the voice from beyond. All in favor of the amendment, please raise your cards. Counters, please count. Yes, sir.
46.
46. 42.
64.
64. Cafeteria?
9.
Thank you. You may put your cards down. All opposed to the amendment, please raise your cards. Counters, please count. Thank you.
14.
14.
13.
13. 39. Cafeteria?
0.
Thank you.
There's only 9 left in the cafeteria. They could sit in the front now.
I have a count of 215 in favor and 88 opposed, so the amendment passes. We now go to the original motion of Article 6 with that correction. Seeing no one before us, we're going to go to Article 6 directly.